Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Good Friday. Happy Free Speech Friday. We are so grateful that you are here. Thank you for joining us. We know you've got many choices to make every single day, and we are always so super grateful that you choose to spend some time with us. So thank you. Mike is out. Okay, let's see. Let me think about that for a second. Hang on 1 second. Hang on. Stand by. Hold on. Is that any better, you guys? Neon Bondi. Is that any better, friends? Can you hear you a little bit better now? Does it sound okay? Yes, no. Can hear you fine. Same. No. Crazy lag. Okay, hang on a second. One minute. Mike is not connected. Out now. Is that any better? Are we good? Are we good? That ends. You hear fine. Sorry, tech is important because we produce a show here and you have to add some stuff to it. Anybody want to let me know if that's good? Are we good to go? Better? Jess? Yes, we're good. Everybody good? Good to go. Okay, thank you guys. All right, thank you for that. Appreciate y'all. Thank you guys. Welcome. Start over. Thank you for being here. We know you have many choices to make every single day, and we're so grateful you choose to spend some time with us. So thanks. You know the drill. Tapping is clapping, liking is loving, and sharing is caring. Please consider joining our team. Please consider participating with the gifting goals today. And as you know, we are marching towards our 25K, do something to our target. We are at $9,116. To anybody who's donated so far, thank you all very, very much. Be awesome if we could make a dent into that 10K number. Hopefully we'll cross that barrier next week. That's a big barrier for us. It's kind of a big milestone for us too. So we're working on getting there. So thank you all in advance. I appreciate you. Please also head over to the link tree that's in my bio. You'll find a link to our Discord. Please consider joining the Discord. It's free. We just ask that you go through the verification steps. You'll also find links to the Facts merch store. There's a lot of really cool items in the merch store. Please go check them out. And thank you to Sam for managing all of that. And we're grateful for everybody on our team who helps us do these things that we do every single day. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate you. Ironically, it is day 105 of the federal government not releasing the Epstein files. And lo and behold, the person at the center of this has been terminated. In case you haven't heard, Pam Bondi was fired. The thing about this that I find fascinating, we'll get into the story because there's already There's already churning and burning about other people. Tulsi Gabbard's name has now been mentioned. Kash Patel's name has now been mentioned. Lori Chavez, who's the labor secretary's name, has been mentioned. Like, it's a bloodletting. I don't know if the president is saying if we get rid of these people, maybe my poll numbers will improve. I don't know. Maybe they're not loyal enough. But think about Pam Bondi, and I've got a little bit of history on her. We'll talk about in just a moment. She has been incredibly loyal. I think is an understatement. Incredibly loyal to the president. So Pam Bondi has been protecting the president from the release of the Epstein files. We know that. We know that she has lied in front of Congress. We know that she has lied to the American public. We know that she has lied on news shows and whatever else, under oath, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. She's lied. She has lied. She has lied. She has lied. She has protected him. And I think you're right, Bob. And the fact that she was going too slowly in regard to prosecuting other people who the president had on his shit list is the reason that she lost her job. Unceremoniously. Remember, there was that famous video of her in the backseat of the Beast with the president on the way to the Supreme Court. The story goes that he told her just before he went out and did that crazy ass fucking press conference, right? So this is the statement from the president himself. Let me see if I can find that. Hang on. Off to a rough start today, but we'll get there, friends. Thank you, guys. So, well, actually, there's a statement. I'll read that one in a second because there's a brand new statement from the president regarding J.D. Vance. But that's funny. Hang on a second. That's wild. I just saw that one come through. Okay, this is the statement that the president made. This is the official statement from his True Social account.
Pam Bondi is a great American patriot and a loyal friend who faithfully served as my AG over the past year. Pam did a tremendous job overseeing a massive crackdown in crime across our country, with murders plummeting to their lowest level since 1900. We love Pam, and she'll be transitioning to a much-needed and important new job in the private sector, to be announced at a date in the very near future. And our deputy AG and a very talented and respected legal mind, Todd Blanche, will step in to serve as acting attorney general. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump.
Before I move too far into reporting on that, but this was the announcement that the president just made a minute ago on True Social.
Vice President J.D. Vance is now in charge of fraud in the United States. It is massive and pervasive, and the job he will be doing in conjunction with many great people within the Trump administration will be a major factor in how great the future of our country will be. We will call him the, wait for it, fraud czar. And his focus will be everywhere, but primarily in those blue states where crooked Democrat politicians like those in California, Illinois, Minnesota, Somalia, beware, Maine, New York, and many others have had a free-for-all in the unprecedented theft of taxpayer money. The numbers are so large that if successful, we would literally be able to balance our American budget. Raids have already started in LA. Good luck, JD.
What? I'm sorry. What? So he's now the fraud czar, and the numbers are so large that if successful, we would literally be able to balance our American budget. So there's multiple trillions of dollars in fraud. Are we going to start with you, sir? Is J.D. Vance going to investigate you because you've enriched yourself by nearly $2 billion since you took office? Right? Thank you, Quiet. Right? What's the deal there and why? But okay, so J.D. Vance gets the fraud czar title. That's fine. No problem. Nothing to see here. We're talking despa-fucking-ration. So the mic is low. I think we're good. Seems like everything's okay on my end. Anyway, back to Pam Bondi. So let's just do a little bit of recap. So she has. By the way, there's no sound is good. Okay. It is Free Speech Friday, and we'll get into our topics. Again, the microphone will be yours today. It is Free Speech Friday, but I want to make sure that we are addressing this because this is a bit of a big deal because you're talking about the Attorney General of the United States. There's only been 100 of them or so in our nation's history, whatever that number is. But there is a checkered past connected to Pam Bondi in particular, and also to Donald Trump. So during the first impeachment of Donald Trump, don't forget, people forgot about this, and I, to be honest, I forgot about it too. She served as one of his impeachment lawyers. All right. During his first impeachment, Bondi, serving on Trump's defense team, made aggressive claims about corruption tied to political rivals. This is from Reuters. She asserted that investigations into Ukraine were justified because of alleged corruption involving the Biden family. She claimed that there was a broader pattern of wrongdoing without presenting new verified evidence during the trial. Why this drew criticism? Because critics, including legal analysts and Democrats and some Republicans, said that she blurred allegations versus evidence, a theme that you often track. Some statements were labeled misleading or unsupported by contemporaneous reporting. The Trump Foundation donations and the Florida investigation from 2013 to 2016. Bondi faced scrutiny over a political donation from the Trump Foundation. A Trump-affiliated charity donated $25,000 to a political group supporting Bondi. Around the same time, her office declined to pursue a fraud investigation into Trump University. Her stance that she denied any wrongdoing or any quid pro quo. Critics argue that the timing raised ethical concerns. The donation was later flagged for violating IRS rules, and they settled it with a fine. Just a little bit more detail on that. Trump University was accused by multiple plaintiffs and state officials of misleading students with expensive real estate seminars. Lawsuits were brought by New York attorney generals, private class actions, and other states across the country. Pam Bondi was the Florida AG. Her office received complaints from Floridians about Trump University. In 2013, her office considered joining a multi-state investigation led by New York. Bondi's office ultimately did not pursue a lawsuit or formal investigation into Trump University. It became controversial because Florida had enough complaints to justify the action, and then other states were actively pursuing the case. Her office reviewed the complaints and chose not to proceed based on available evidence. There was more evidence submitted by Florida plaintiffs than there were by New York plaintiffs, by the way. Again, nothing to see here, though. And then in 2013, the Trump Foundation donated $25,000 to her. The money went to a political group supporting Bondi. This raised alarms because the donation came around the same time that Bondi's office was weighing whether to investigate Trump University. The donation violated IRS rules. Charitable foundations are not allowed to make political contributions. The foundation later paid a $2,500 IRS penalty and reimbursement for the donation. Bondi's response to this, her office said the donation did not influence her decision. Her office's decision was based solely on legal review, and then she did not personally solicit the donation. This point has been disputed in reporting. Trump University cases were settled in 2016 for $25 million, and of course, no admission of wrongdoing by the president. Say what you will. Just a coincidence? You had all this evidence. You had more evidence. You had more evidence in Florida than you did in New York. Around the same time that this investigation is happening, she gets a $25,000 donation to her campaign, and then here we are. Okay? So you can say whatever you want. If you don't think that that's a conspiracy, if you don't think that that's corruption, then fine. You know, if I were to ask that question to the people that I was on that live with last night, they'd be like, nothing to see here. But anyway, so let's get a little bit more into Pam. We've got some highlights to talk about because other people are now connected to this. Tulsi Gabbard's name has now been mentioned. Apparently, the president has polled his advisors internally about replacing Tulsi Gabbard, Kristi Noem, Pam Bondi, Tulsi Gabbard. Caroline Leavitt is now potentially on the hot seat. Who knows? Kash Patel's name. So I think for the men in his cabinet and the men in his orbit, they're going to have to do something egregious to embarrass him more than they've done so far for them to even be considered being replaced, right? So remember how it's interesting how we talked about this just yesterday? This has sort of been on my mind for a while. As soon as the notification came out that she was going to have to testify in front of Congress under oath, I'm thinking, I don't know if she's going to get there based on her last performance, but it is what it is. So let's play a little sound from some of the highlights from Pam Bondi. Here's a couple, just a walk down memory lane, so to speak.
You sit here and you attack the president, and I am not going to have it. Donald Trump signed that law to release all of those documents. He is the most transparent president in the nation's history.
Wow.
Donald Trump, the Dow right now is over. The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. Yeah, I'm stunned that you want to continue talking about.
Oh my gosh.
Epstein
Okay, I'm reclaiming my time. I'm asking you not a trick question, a simple question.
Were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
But the Dow.
This is so ridiculous.
You're the Attorney General of the United States. We have rules here.
You're obsessed with him.
You're the Attorney General of the United States.
You're
And the rules.
obsessed with Donald Trump. You have Trump derangement syndrome.
You can let her filibuster all day long, but not on our watch.
Wow.
Not on our time. No way. And I told you about that, Attorney General, before you started.
You don't tell me.
Yeah, I did tell you because we saw what you did in the Senate.
How many of Epstein's co-conspirators have you indicted? How many perpetrators are you even investigating?
First, you showed it. I find it.
How many have you indicted?
Excuse me. I'm going to answer the question.
Answer my question.
No, I'm going to answer the question the way I want to answer the question. Your
answer the
theatrics are
question the way I
ridiculous.
asked it.
How many lives have been derailed because your department was either sloppy and incompetent or willfully trying to intimidate and punish these ladies
Your time
for
is
coming
up.
forward?
Robert Mueller found no evidence, none, of foreign interference in 2016.
I forgot about that piece. I'm sorry, what? What was that? Huh?
Have you apologized to President Trump?
Wow.
Have you apologized to President Trump, all of you who participated in those impeachment hearings against Donald Trump?
This is not a game, Secretary.
Oh.
I'm Attorney General.
My apologies, I couldn't tell.
Oh, Becca Ballant, my rep.
You sit here and you
yeah. So that was a
permanent replacement.
And then I'm thinking about like what's that going to look like? You know, how is she going to go back? How is she going to go back and sit in front of Congress? Well, then the question is, what happens with this subpoena, right? Nancy Mace is the one who initiated the subpoena for her to appear, right? She was, I didn't realize this. I did some research into this yesterday. Actually, she named names. She didn't just say the Attorney General of the United States. She said Pam Bondi. So then the question is she going to show up and testify on the 14th of April? I guess we'll see. So Robert Garcia, who's part of that committee that would be hearing this testimony, he was on with Pamela Brown, and here's an answer to that question.
Apply with the subpoena. I mean, after that appearance from a couple of weeks ago, Chairman Comer reaffirmed the subpoena was still in place. It's legal. It was voted in a bipartisan way. All Democrats, a handful of Republicans. And that subpoena, by the way, is very clear that Pam Bondi is to appear in front of our committee in just under 2 weeks, whether she is Attorney General or not. The subpoena is for her. And so she now has an opportunity, which is incredibly important, to address a committee about the Epstein files, about the failures of that investigation. But she also has an opportunity now to give us 100% the truth and the facts under oath. And I think that's going to be an important moment. We look forward to her testimony.
So I guess we'll see, right? So she's not really in capacity of the AG anymore. I mean, literally this happened. There's that famous, I think I mentioned this before, there's that famous photo of her in the back seat of the Beast with the president, right? Not a Jack and Diane moment for sure, right? More of her with her gas mask to avoid the smell. But that was part of the trip that the president made to the Supreme Court to try to intimidate the justices during the birthright citizenship hearing. Then the reporting is that he informed her just before he went and did his fucking speech. So who the fuck knows? But she's out. And I think there's no love lost because, you know, she has just lied to the American people at the expense of survivors in particular. There's that famous moment during that testimony when there were survivors of the Epstein-Trump files sitting behind her in the hearing room, and she was asked if she would turn and face them and apologize, and she refused. That's the person who has been so incredibly fucking loyal to the president, and now she's out. So let's big picture on this entire thing, big picture. people who are protecting the network of predators, of which the president is in, are the fall people, the fall guys and women in this case, but not the people who are perpetrating the crimes, right? So the survivors' names get unredacted. Where are the charges against the people that are in these files? Where are the names? Why do we not have all the names? Why do we not have investigations into the people that are in these files? Why are other countries taking this seriously? So Pam Bondi's been running interference for the president. Hang on one second. One second. She took the job. This goes back to the first impeachment hearing. This goes back prior to that. This goes to the Trump University lawsuits, right? This has been a decade. This has been a decade that she has been so fucking loyal to this guy, and he fires her because she's not being petty enough. She's unable to secure indictments. She's unable to, ramp up investigations into other people. She tried Letitia James, didn't work. She tried James Comey, didn't work. She tried others, didn't work. And here we sit, right? So we'll be watching the calendar. So, 10 days from today, roughly, when she has to come back and testify. I guess my guess is that she'll have to show up. Unless James Comer then tears up, because he's the chairperson. Well, she does have to testify. Yes, he would have to tear up the subpoena. That's going to be a very interesting move because there is precedent that former attorneys general have shown up to testify, right? Former federal employees have shown up to testify. Former federal officials have shown up to testify. So there's precedent. So they can't claim there's no precedent here because there is precedent. So we'll be watching that for sure. A couple other things on this. MS Now.
Complete and
hang on one second. So MS Now they've been talking about replacements. Don't forget, we talked yesterday. Former presidents, exactly, Stormwriter. Really good point. Former presidents have now come in to testify. Former secretaries of state, former first ladies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we talked yesterday. This was just a prediction that I had about the ultimate permanent replacement. And I want you to keep in mind, although you're not going to hear it in this reporting, I want you to keep in mind the name Ken Paxton. We discussed this before. Ken Paxton is running for Senate in Texas. He is in a heated campaign fight with John Cornyn. I think the president is really concerned, the president and his operatives, because the president doesn't care about anything other than his ballroom and his fucking Big Mac order. I know, Kristen, I know. Good morning. So I think he sees it strategically, potentially, right? As let me put Ken Paxton in as the AG, which then clears the field. And then any dollars Republicans spend in the state will go to support Cornyn. That's just my philosophy. I don't know if it's true or not, just kind of a theory. So we'll see, but we'll be watching that. So then you're hearing the name Todd Blanche. We'll get into that in just a second. But this is Ali Velshi reporting on potential replacements.
Pam Bondi out. The Deputy Attorney General and Trump defense attorney Todd Blanche is in, at least for the time being. But today, MS Now learned that Trump is considering a number of other permanent replacements. The EPA head Lee Zeldin, the former Fox host and current U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C., Jeanine Pirro, the Missouri Senator and MAGA diehard Eric Schmidt, a uniquely far-right fella who says all the quiet parts out loud, and even another one of Trump's former personal attorneys, the disqualified acting U.S. Attorney in New Jersey, Alina Habba.
Think about that list, okay? Alina Habba, whose background is in she either defended like parking garages or connected to insurance. Jeanine Box of Wine Pirro, Lee Zeldin, and Eric Schmidt. Eric Schmidt is a radical right-wing extremist. Those are the people that are being considered for replacement AG. But we only hired the best. So back to this reporting.
Now, you might be thinking that this list is kind of all over the place, but it's actually not. All of the people on that list share one thing in common: complete and unyielding devotion to Donald Trump.
That's true. That is very true. But are they more devoted than her? I mean, any good leader. I mean, I've been very fortunate to have some incredible mentors in my professional career. Any good leader surrounds themselves with brilliant people. Remember, the president himself said that he likes to hang. Do I still have that soundbite? This would be a great time to play it. Maybe I do. I hope I do, because it's the perfect time to play it. Here we go. Remember this just from a few days ago. This is what the president had to say.
Losers. I always like to hang around with losers, actually, because it makes me feel better. I hate guys that are very, very successful and you have to listen to their success stories. I like people that like to listen to my success. But I find, and I found this, and I'm only kidding, I want to say that, sort of. But I find that people that win, it's much easier to lead when you're successful and you win. You know, Vince Lombardi was a very tough person, a very tough football coach. He was sort of a violent guy, actually. I knew him.
What?
But he won, and he got away with things because he won.
Here's the beginning again, just real quick.
Good thing to have a lot of losers. I always like to hang around with losers, actually.
Okay, so that's the president. So think about the people that he is now considering replacing Pam Bondi with. That list of people, not exactly
going forward,
not exactly the brightest minds, in legalese. Again, your opinion is fine. Your opinion is welcome. But these are the people that he is considering replacing her with. Let me back up a second. Here we go.
Modern history has said, I am the president.
Hang on.
Of all over the place, but it's actually not. All of the people on that list share one thing in common: complete and unyielding devotion to Donald Trump.
President Trump, for the first time in modern history, has said, I am the president, and if you work in the executive branch, you work for me.
Are you President for Trump it personally?
Miss Lee Zeldin.
I am for whatever President Trump is advocating for.
Oh. Here's what the president's going to do.
Here's box of wine. I mean, Janine Pirro.
He's going to make a difference. We're going to change the laws. We've got liberal judges. We've got liberal laws. Everything is going to change.
Clapper, Comey, Brennan in particular.
This is Eric Schmidt.
I think this is the route forward, and I think there should be indictments.
We will not fall
Alina
to rogue
Habba.
judges. We will not fall to people trying to be political when they should just be doing their job, respecting the president.
With Pam Bondi out.
So there's that. Okay? So we often talk about, the devil that you know, right? At least Pam Bondi has served in the capacity of attorneys general, right? Attorney general. She was the attorney general in the state of Florida. We discussed that. At least she has managed an operation. She's managed the Justice Department, yes, at the state level. Alina Habba, Janine Pirro was able to make it from her box of Reuniti across the lobby in Fox News to make it to her anchor desk. Eric Schmidt does his tours. Everybody hashtag free Sam, because I think Eric Schmidt represents Missouri. Hashtag free Sam. He is a bona fide nut job. He goes on Newsmax all the fucking time. And then Lee Zeldin, who's the EPA commissioner, and basically has said, I'll do whatever the president tells me to do. Okay, that's fine. No problem. So speaking of Todd Blanche, he did the rounds last night. So he's on with Jesse Waters. And here's what he had to say about the e-files in particular.
Epstein files, you'd agree, not handled well? And I don't, first of all, I have never heard President Trump say that the Attorney General that anything that happened to her had anything to do with the Epstein files. And so look, the Epstein files has been a saga that's lasted for the past year. And what happened when the president signed the Transparency Act is the Department of Justice has now released all the files with respect to the Epstein saga.
What?
And the Attorney General Bondi and I appeared in front of Congress voluntarily a couple weeks ago to answer any questions they had. We have made every single congressman, senator available to come and see any document, redacted, unredacted, that they want. And so I think that to the extent that the Epstein files was a part of the past year of this Justice Department, it should not be a part of anything going forward.
Too bad none of that's true. Right? The law, just so we're clear. So Todd, you and Ms. Bondi, former Attorney General Pam Bondi, were responsible for following the federal law, which was the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Today is the 105th day of you and your cohorts violating said law, right? So you've got some splaining to do. So if you are going to be elevated to this temporary role, then good luck. Go back into what I said earlier. Any good fucking leader surrounds themselves with people that are smarter than they are. You want a team of people, right? So when I left corporate America, I was a C-suiter. So my pillar had 227 people in it, I think. And the people that I had, when I hired people, I hired them to replace me. I wanted the succession plan to be robust if I ever decided to leave or whatever that might be. You want the best people around you. What the fuck does he have? What the fuck does he have? Case in point, I found this little fucking nugget. Remember, before Pam Bondi became the AG, I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was a name that was mentioned to be the Attorney General. Do you remember who that was? You guys are smart. You guys know. I'm sure you do. People mention the chat. Matt Gaetz. Exactly. So this is what Matt Gaetz had to say about a few things. This is fucking wild. Do I have that sound? I have to find this because this is wild. Hang on. That. Everybody keep tapping, please. I appreciate you all very, very much. Thank you. Hang on a second. That's not what I wanted to do. I've got it. I've got to hear you. You got to hear this. This is fucking crazy. This is the guy. First of all, not only is Matt Gaetz a fucking predator, but this is what he had to say about things that he's been brought in the loop on, I guess you could say, or stories that he's been told, or I don't even know how to describe it, but I have to find this because this is crazy. You guys are so patient. I appreciate you all very, very much. Patience is a virtue. The president informed Pam Bondi her time as AG is ending. Formal announcement hasn't yet come. Yes, the formal announcement has come. We have that. And by the way, gas prices at $4.09, up a penny since yesterday, and they continue to rise. And we'll get into that. We'll get into all that in just a moment. Maybe I don't have it. Just give me a second because it's fucking brilliant. You have to. These are the people, like we just discussed. The president likes to surround himself with losers. We know that to be true, and every single day he proves that. Not only when he opens his mouth, but the statements that he makes publicly, the statements that he makes privately, the statements that he makes, in front of the mirror. I don't know. We don't know what the fuck he's doing. He's operating in his own little vacuum. Do I not have this? I gotta find it. Sorry, just give me a minute because it's worth it. You guys would be like, who the fuck are we? Are we lucky? Are we lucky that we avoided this guy being in charge? I don't know if you would call it luck, but oh, and by the way, the internet has responded. There's a lot of great quotes or on X. Someone said, Pam Bondi claims to be pro-life, but doesn't carry her job to full term. Ouch. In a surprise twist, the Epstein files released the Attorney General. Marco Rubio realizing that he may be tabbed with being the Attorney General now. We are Pam Bondi. We carry the flame. Disgraced former Attorney General Pam Bondi's leaked resume with everything redacted, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, of course, the internet has responded, which we have to be very pleased by. Let me see. I've got to find this. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm sorry. It's worth it. Your patience is appreciated and so worth it. At least it is to me. Everybody keep tapping. Is this it? No. That's not it. Sorry, did that again. Maybe I don't have it. Anyway, he was talking about aliens, of all things. Yeah. He said he was brought in the loop about a hybrid program where the United States government was involved in breeding aliens and non-aliens. And I was like, what the fuck are we doing? Who the fuck are these fucking people? They're crazy. They're delusional. But again, when you are surrounded by a bunch of fucking losers, this is what happens. I don't have it. Doesn't matter. Anyway, here we sit. So we know the people that are coming now, right? We know the people that are coming next. Mods, there's a clip of Matt Gaetz being interviewed recently talking about these aliens. If somebody could find that for me, I would really appreciate it. We have revisions to the Challenger report. I'll get to that in just a second. Okay, so Pam Bondi's out. Long story short, Pam Bondi's out. Todd Blanche is in. They're going to run cover. They're going to try to deny, deflect. The question then is who's next? So we're getting reporting about Kash Patel. We're getting reporting about Tulsi Gabbard. So this is the story about Tulsi Gabbard. The president has pressure intensifies for Gabbard after president's displeasure with the Iran war testimony. Donald Trump has privately asked cabinet members in recent weeks whether he should replace his director of national intelligence, Tulsi, venting frustration that she shielded a former deputy who undercut his rationale for war with Iran, according to two people briefed on the discussion. It is not clear that Trump will actually fire Gabbard over the episode. Currently, there is no standout candidate to take her job, and advisors have cautioned that creating a high-profile vacancy before a successor is ready could cause unhelpful political distractions. But Trump's discussions mark an ominous development for Gabbard, given the president tends to poll his advisors when he starts to seriously consider whether a personnel change is necessary. The two people spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss private conversations. What they're referring to there is Joe Kent. Remember, Joe Kent was somebody who is in Tulsi Gabbard's office. Joe Kent said, I'm done with this bullshit. And this is his first public statement after resigning.
I submitted my resignation. It would get the traction or the attention that you talked about. After serving 20 years, mostly deployed to the Middle East, fighting the wars over there, and just seeing how our country had been lied to and brought down the wrong path in those wars, and that we were getting sucked into another one, and that the American people didn't have the full story, and our country did not have a vital national interest in this current fight. I said, if it's ever my turn, if I'm ever an adult in this situation, I ever have a position of responsibility, I will not, in good conscience, send young men and women off to die on foreign battlefields. We're at a critical juncture in the war in Iran. We need to let our leaders hear that we do not support this war. We do not think there's a vital national security interest. We want to bring our troops home. We want to work towards peace in that region. We do not want 20 plus more years of bloodletting.
So, the president wanting to fire Tulsi Gabbard because she did not question him. Now, let's keep this in mind. This guy, Joe Kent, is the kind of person that MAGA would like. I mean, he's decorated. He's served his country. He's an intelligent guy. He's the guy that said, listen, I do not support this. I do not support any of this bullshit. I do not support another endless war. And the president is mad at Tulsi Gabbard because she basically let this guy criticize the administration? I don't know. I found that sound. So let's play that now because you guys will laugh. So this is Matt Gaetz. This is the guy that was going to be the attorney general. And then there was an ethics investigation, and then there was a whole bunch of other shit connected to some of his past and some of his past behaviors, some of his, his ridiculousness, his idiocy, his criminality, his trafficking, his drug use, his prostitution. Here you go.
Yours, Matt Gaetz, making some pretty shocking statements yesterday about aliens. Take a look.
I had someone come and brief me who was in a military uniform, worked for the United States Army, that was briefing me on the locations of hybrid breeding programs where captured aliens were breeding with humans to create some hybrid race that could engage in intergalactic communication. Aliens that were living were in forced breeding programs with humans that had been abducted from war zones and from even the caravans of migrants.
All right. I mean, I don't.
So did you catch that? Like, I'll play it again. But of course, Matt Gaetz will try to connect this to radical leftists and experimentation on people by allowing these caravans of migrants into the country so that they can be part of an experiment, hybrid breeding programs with aliens. I mean, do the aliens have boats? Do any of them have fishing camps? Are they smart? Are they talented? I mean, whatever, I live in Vermont. The winters are long and lonely. I'm just saying. So can you imagine that? That guy was tabbed to be the Attorney General of the United States. That guy. It's fine. Nothing to see here, Matt. Nothing to see here. So then Tim Burchett is forced to respond.
I don't have the tinfoil hat on just yet, Congressman, but I'm wondering, kind of how you react to that, because you are connected. You're on the UFO subcommittee. I mean, I'm just wondering what you make of that. Have you heard anything like that?
Well, I'm still a member of Congress, so I can't really comment too much on what Matt said.
Sure you can.
But I will say this.
Wait, seriously? Are you being serious, or is that
I'm being 100% serious?
Okay. Of course you can respond,
I've been 100%
dude.
serious.
What?
I've been briefed by just about every alphabet agency there is. And I'll just tell you this. If they would release the things that I've said.
Yeah, I caught that too. The UFO subcommittee? Okay. Actually, if you're going to be on a subcommittee in D.C., that's probably the one to be on, right?
Sure. You would stay up, you'd be up at night worrying about or thinking about this stuff. We just need to disclose it all. I'm sick of it. Well, I was briefed. I'll just tell you this. I was briefed last week on an issue, 2 weeks ago. And it would have set the earth on this country would have come unglued, I think, if they would have heard all that I heard. They would demand answers.
What? So where are they?
And we need to. But it's never going to get. Unfortunately, it just keeps getting covered up, and the people that know are dying or disappearing, as the case may be.
Wow.
And for the record, I'm not suicidal, and I don't take risks.
Oh,
I'm glad you said that.
That's interesting. He just wants to let people know that if I start talking about this, I want to let everybody know I have no interest in harming myself. I'm a good driver. The gas lines in my house have been fixed. That's interesting.
Speechless, Congressman. We will have you back.
You should be. And I told the president, release it all. And the problem is the people that are around the president don't know and the president doesn't know the questions to ask. A few of us are going to have to get with the president and tell him what he needs to ask and where he needs to look. I mean, we're in meetings and they give addresses and tell locations of items, I'll just say. And the public has a right to know, dadgummit. It's your tax dollars.
Absolutely.
Let's get it out there.
You got my attention, Congressman. I appreciate you being as forthcoming as you have been tonight. And we look forward to having you back. Look, I know Donald Trump wants to disclose something. He hasn't done it yet, but I think he wants to be the president to do that. Tim Burchett, thank you.
He does.
Yeah.
He does.
There's part of me that likes Tim Burchett, the dadgummit side. Part of me likes the guy, all right? Like, I could sit down and I could grill him and I could drag his fucking ass because of his bullshit politics. But part of me is like, dude, dadgummit. I just want to play the beginning of this again so we can hear exactly what it was that Matt Gaetz, the reason we're playing this sound is because Matt Gaetz was going to be the Attorney General of the United States. Okay.
Former colleague of yours, Matt Gaetz, making some pretty shocking statements yesterday about aliens. Take a look.
I had someone come and brief me who was in a military uniform, worked for the United States Army, that was briefing me on the locations of hybrid breeding programs where captured aliens were breeding with humans to create some hybrid race that could engage in intergalactic communication. What? Aliens that were living were in forced breeding programs with humans that had been abducted from war zones and from even the caravans of migrants.
All right. I mean,
like, I am not a conspiracy theorist. Okay. I've said that numerous times. I'm not, right? But what I know, because I've studied conspiracy theories, and there's always a smattering of truth connected to the conspiracy, which gives it life. Not only life in the moment, but sustainable life. So we think about Pizzagate, right? No real connection to how they described it, but if you read through the e-files, there were pizza orders that were code for some of the survivors who were being assaulted, right? They talk about this global pedophilia ring that was organized through the Clinton and the Soros family and all those people downstairs in pizza locations in DC. Well, they were right about the global trafficking network, but it wasn't at a downstairs pizza shop in DC. So again, all kinds of little threads that you can pull on. So Matt Gaetz said he was approached by a member of the United States military, and this person shared that information with him. You know, I don't even know what the fuck to believe anymore when it comes to that shit. But if any of us think that there is not alien life out there somewhere, whether it be intelligent life, whether it be humanoid, whether it be every single movie we've ever seen, I think we would be foolish to think that doesn't exist. The question is, exactly, no pineapple on pizza though. Exactly. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Sorry, I know that's going to divide our audience, which is fine. That's fine. There's some truth to it. Let's be real. So who the fuck knows what the investigation is and means? But anyway, I share that story because that guy, Matt Gaetz, was going to be the former the Attorney General of the United States. Okay, so I have a little bit. This is Todd Blanche. I think we covered his sound specifically. I don't know what's next in this regard. Obviously, I think that's just an appointment. I don't think he's subjected to Senate approval because it's an interim position, although he might be. We can talk about that. But the list that Ali Velshi read off, you know, Alina Habba, Janine Pirro, Lee Zeldin, EPA Commissioner, Eric Schmidt, all completely unqualified and incompetent to do this job. The Attorney General of the United States is the nation's leading law enforcement position. Huge job, one of the largest agencies in our government. At least Pam Bondi had some experience in this role. But again, anyway, good luck with that. So a couple more things on that topic. Actually, before let's do this because Jimmy Fallon chimed in on Pam Bondi's firing yesterday, and I like to pay homage to people who are pushing back against bullshit. So here's Jimmy.
Fired Attorney General Pam Bondi. The hardest thing about getting fired by Trump is pretending to be sad when he tells you, you know? Of course, being fired by Trump is never fun. Kristi Noem was like, true, but things can definitely get worse. So. Meanwhile, when Trump realized he fired the woman with access to all the Epstein files, he was like, oh, crap. Pam, you're not fired, you're redacted. Apparently, Trump was also upset that Bondi didn't go after his enemies. And Bondi was like, so you want me to arrest NATO, Bruce Springsteen, and the ice cream machine at McDonald's? He's like, it never works. It never works. Yep, Trump's on a bit of a firing spree. First Kristi Noem, then Pam Bondi. Ironically, the only staffer who has immunity is RFK Jr.
Seems like it.
Weird?
Seems like it.
Interesting, right? Think about it. Some more news from Washington last night. In a primetime address, Trump spoke for 19 minutes about the war and didn't have any...
Friends, we just got a misinformation flag, so I need you guys to help us out significantly. I need you to tap like crazy. I need you to share like crazy. I need you to gift like crazy. I need you to really support the channel. So if you have coins, please help us. Please share. Please post. Please comment. We love the TikTok shop. It's our favorite thing in the entire world. I don't know what I played that was misinformation. Maybe referencing conspiracy theories potentially. Maybe. So anyway, I need your help.
Anything new to say? You know you nailed the primetime address when everyone's reaction is, you interrupted the Masked Singer for this? Yep, Trump didn't have much to say. It's like when your iPhone has an important update and then it just adds 2 new emojis. Yeah.
So there's that. Now, again, the debate around the people that are being fired, I think it's not a coincidence, right? That it's Pam Bondi, it's Kristi Noem. Now, Tulsi Gabbard's name is in the hot seat. What do they have in common? We know. Ty Cobb, who used to represent the president, who's been on his legal team in the past, he does the rounds. He had an interesting take on this. So, based on what I was just saying, let's get into that little sound, and then I've got some interesting things that we need to discuss for Free Speech Friday. And the floor will be yours at some point today, guys. Once we get into our topics of the day. Again, Ty Cobb, not to be confused with the baseball player. But Ty Cobb's a lawyer. He used to be a pretty well-accredited lawyer. Then he started working for the Trump administration. Then I think he's trying to redeem his own career by going out and talking on network news, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So let's play that sounder, and then we can listen to Ty Cobb talk about why he thinks Pam Bondi got fired.
I don't think you're going to see Trump firing any men, though. By the way, you're going to see women.
Do you think he is targeting women on purpose?
Yes, I do. He doesn't have the respect or the admiration for women that you would expect for somebody who holds this exalted office. Also, though, I mean, yes, are there men? Yes, I mean, look at Lutnick, Mr. Let's go visit Jeffrey Epstein on his island with my family and lie about it.
Exactly.
Mr. Hegseth, of course, who. Is basically, a high schooler with a new toy who humiliates himself every day and makes America less safe every day. There are many people in this cabinet, which is a kakistocracy, governance by the inept. There are many people in this.
That's the best line. Governance by the inept.
This cabinet who should be dismissed and replaced with. People of the character of General Kelly from the first term, General Mattis, Nikki Haley. There are a number of people in the first term who would have basically served with dignity and tried very hard during their time there to provide a guardrail for Trump and prevent him from acting on his worst instincts. Now he's accumulated a group of people who will carry out his worst instincts, and he's going to be looking for a new attorney general to replace Bondi that's in that mold.
I don't think he's wrong. Right? I don't think he's wrong. We know that the president has no respect for women, the way he talks to journalists, the way he's treated them, the way he's violated them, he's raped them, he's abused them, he's called them piggy, he's called them stupid. We know that. So the tokenization of women in his cabinet, and of course they were going to be the fall women. There's no doubt about that. So I guess we'll see where this shakes down. But of course, we certainly know that the people that are going to be filling this void are expected to be loyal. Don't forget. He goes to the Supreme Court, and we played that sounder, right? He comes back, he gets his butt hurt, literally, and he says, I appoint them and I expect them to be loyal. He told us the quiet part out loud. I expected them to be loyal. And what are they doing? I give them this job and they're not going to support me. That's what he thinks. This is a loyalty test. Everything. Exactly. Pawns of the board. If it doesn't suit his narrative and it doesn't work, thank you. If it doesn't work for him, then so be it. So let's take a little pause right there, and I want to play this for you guys because it is Good Friday, as you all know. So what I thought I would do today, just to try to have a little bit of fun, because humor and joy is part of resistance. I think I have this somewhere. Hang on one second. It is Good Friday, and I may have played the sound before, but there's a comedian that I really like. His name is Sebastian Maniscalco, and he talks about Passover, Italians and Jews. Here you go.
But Italians and Jews, very similar. People say same corporation, different division. All right? We get along. There's an obvious, thing with the religion. I went to my first Passover dinner. That's what she's like, well, my mother's going to have Passover. Okay, we'll go to the dinner. 7:30, we sit down at her mother's house. I'm starving, right? Starving. They start passing out pamphlets, like reading material. I'm like, what's going on? What are we doing here? What's with the... She's like, no, we read for 2 hours. 2 hours. I said, listen, I'm Italian. As soon as I sit at a table, I got to have bread within 15 seconds of sitting down. All right?
Yeah. Yep.
I need something to do with my right hand. I need a...
Correct.
There's some oil coming out. We got oil? I need oil. Now.
If you know, you know.
Hungry. And the food they start bringing out, oh God, terrible, terrible. Jews have no idea what the hell they're doing in the kitchen. These people have no cuisine. Celery, crackers, jam. I'm like, what is it? We're losing people. People are leaving. We need food. After breakfast, they fall apart, the Jews. After a bagel, cream cheese, lox, where are they going? They got nothing. They have nothing. Has anybody ever said to you, we went to this Jewish restaurant last night? The gefilte? Amazing. I respect the Jews, but let's just have the Italians cater the Passover meal. All right? Come on, come on. I could read for a couple of hours with some meatballs on the table.
Joyous resistance. I don't know if there's anybody that would disagree. Anybody would disagree with that. But again, that's Sebastian Maniscalco. Okay, so I think we have, sort of officially worked our way through the Pam Bondi controversy. We'll be watching, like, who's next. We might want to consider starting a poll, like, who's going to be next. It seems like it's going to be Tulsi Gabbard. Remember, anything and anyone who makes the president look bad is going to be on the chopping block. Now, yeah, we're going to talk about Caroline in just a moment. You brought that up, and I've got some interesting sound to play for her, but it is officially Free Speech Friday. So let's get into our background here. Again, friends, I want to hear from you today. As a reminder, we are still marching towards our goal for the Do Something Tour. Please consider contributing at Factsstillmatter, Cash App, PayPal, and Venmo. I mentioned gas prices, they're up. We've got some new job numbers reports. I want to get into that right now. Challenger has released some information. So let's see here. All right. Here's some sound. I guess I'll just play this. What am I looking at here? Okay, so we have a revision down. So while the March job numbers came in better than expected, the revision to February's numbers was significantly downward by 133,000 jobs lost last month. 178,000 jobs added in March, but February was corrected down to 133,000 jobs lost. Did I read that right? Yes. Let me just go back and check for some more data. Just so you know, while we're joking around with Sebastian Maniscalco and we're having fun and we're talking stuff, behind the scene, the engine that fuels this show, my incredible mod team, is making sure I have the most recent, the most updated information that you can possibly get. So if I can get hearts in the chat for all the mods, but in particular, our mods in our family. You all know who they are. They're fucking awesome. So hearts in chat for them. What do I got here? Total non-farm, thank you, Tiff. Total non-farm payroll employment increased by 178,000 in March, and the unemployment rate changed little at 4.3%. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported today job gains occurred in healthcare, in construction, and in transportation and warehousing. Federal government employment continued to decline. Okay, so that's the good news. That's the top line news. But the underlying news is a downward adjustment of 133,000 jobs from February. So yeah, total non-farm payroll employment increased by 178,000. March cuts rise by 27. Let me see. What's this? Hang on one second. I love breaking news. U.S.-based employers announced 60,620 job cuts in March, up 25% from 48,307 cuts announced in February. It's down 78% from the 275,240 cuts announced during the same month last year, according to a report released Thursday from global outplacement executive coaching firm Challenger. We've been getting the Challenger information prior to a lot of the other information, so here we sit. Removing the wave of federal layoffs announced in February and March of last year, job cut announcements in 2026 are closely following the pattern of 2025. Last year was government, retail, and technology. This year it's technology, transportation, and healthcare, said Andy Challenger, workplace expert. In the first quarter, employers announced 217,362 job cuts, the lowest Q1 total since 2022, when 55,696 cuts were recorded. It's down 16%. Recorded in the fourth quarter of 2025 and down to 56% from the 497,052 cuts announced in the first quarter of 2025. So we continue to lose jobs across all sectors. Now we're talking transportation, technology, healthcare. The previous year it was government, retail, and technology, but the Dow. Exactly. So not good news. And we'll get into that as the morning progresses, friends. Thank you for being everybody. I appreciate you all. Happy Free Speech Friday. Good morning, friend. How are you today?
Oh, I'm good.
Hang on
good
one
morning.
second.
How are you?
Hang on. Give me a second.
Can you hear me?
I can now. Yes.
Okay, great. So, you know how I feel. It's always a pleasure to watch your live every morning. But last night was a treat. I know it was painful for you at times. I just have one question about what I witnessed last night. Was that the best they got? Or is that their best?
Probably. At least there was some semi-controlled crashing out. Probably. Yeah. I want to thank my friends RJ and Emma for hanging in there, and I decided to carry the flag for the rest of the night. So there was that. Yes.
Well,
yeah.
We were watching. I wish I could have commented, but they had that blocked. But you really show how to do it, and I appreciated what we saw, and it seemed like at least the host liked you.
He did. It's interesting. Although they kicked me at the end, and I commented to the host via message because he said in the Constitution it talks about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And my comment was, actually, that's not in the Constitution. That's in the Declaration of Independence, my guy. Thanks for having me. And then he blocked me. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, thanks for hanging in there as long as you did. It was a treat to watch.
I appreciate you, friend, for being here. Have a good Friday. Be safe out there. Yeah, I was part of a 3-on-3 debate, myself, RJ, and Emma, against three people on the right, and it went as you would expect, right? Yeah, the host wasn't exactly neutral, but that's okay. We survived. You know, we asked the inevitable question that we always ask, right? Is food a right? And of course, they don't think food's a right. And the lesson that I learned from that is the lesson I learn often is just there's this massive divide between priorities. Someone saying it's fine to increase but by the way, the president is asking for a $500 billion increase in the defense budget for next year. $500 billion. It would be the largest increase in defense spending ever in American history. And I said, well, why are we doing that? Why are we at the expense of cuts to other programs? And they're like, well, they're not cutting other programs. Then we went through the exercise and said, well, these are the amount of people that are on SNAP, et cetera, et cetera. You know the drill. It's the same stuff you guys hear every single day. And they're like, we would rather have our taxpayer funding money go towards the defense because none of the other stuff matters if we're not safe and secure. That's the fear mongering. That's the fear mongering, right? That is the fear mongering that if we don't have this massive defense, you're welcome, Airwolf. No problem, friend. If we don't have this massive defense, then nothing else matters, right? So, anyway, that's how that went down last night. So that was pretty wild. As to be part of that conversation, it's the same drill, and we're never going to change their mind. Hi, Heather. How are you?
Hi, Steve. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
What's on my mind is white women. What did we learn? What did we learn? Kristi Noem. What did we learn? Pam Bondi. What did we learn? Every woman who voted for MAGA. What did we learn? You are not going to be chosen. They will fire you. They will throw you under the bus.
Correct. Loyalty is a one-way street, right, Heather?
100% it is. I just don't understand it. I just, for the life of me, do not understand it. You will not be picked. All those pick-me's, that's what they are. You're not going to be picked. Oh, and in my personal opinion, I think Leavitt is next, but then it would be Kash Patel because he's also not going to be picked.
Agreed.
He would go before any of the white men would go. So
agreed.
And he has made Trump look bad like a couple of different times. So I do absolutely think, I think Leavitt, Tulsi first. Of course, the women would go first, but Patel would be definitely next. Yep.
Yeah, I think you might be right about that because they talked about Kash Patel. Then there was that his emails got hacked, and then there was that video released of Kash Patel dancing in his native dance. And it's, again, the president doesn't want somebody like that, somebody who's not alpha, somebody who's not, a big, strong, tough guy. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's the first of the dudes to lose their job.
Exactly. And just like a typical narcissist, of course he doesn't want anyone that's smarter than him around because, then he'll look bad. So he has to have everyone that's not as smart as him, even though he's not smart either, around. Correct. But yeah, it's typical narcissist. It's not even surprising at all.
Agreed. Thanks for jumping in today, friend. I appreciate you very much. Have a good day. Be safe out there.
Of course. I appreciate you too. You also be safe out there.
I will. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. Talk about Caroline Leavitt. So I played this for you guys yesterday. So this was, as we're talking about who might be next. Okay. Now, the position of the press secretary, we've all watched West Wing. We know the CJ, the whole 9 yards. We know that they are literally, so the press secretary reports into the director of communications at the White House. They set strategy. So those communications happen. Think Toby Ziegler, right, from the West Wing days. So the press secretary basically, as you know, becomes the mouthpiece of the organization, of the administration. So she has been incredibly fucking loyal. Again, lying to the American public every single day. And then the president had this to say about her while she's sitting in the room.
Washington Post is almost extinct. The papers that are being dishonest, the papers generally, people don't believe the media. And to finish, I got 93% bad publicity. Some people say 97, but between 93 and 97. A person that gets 97% of bad stories, maybe Caroline's doing a poor job. I don't know. She's my representative. You're doing a terrible job. Should we keep her? I think we'll keep her. But I get 93 to 97% bad press, fake press, all fake.
All of it.
I won in a landslide.
Of course.
When you get 93 to 97 bad stories, bad press, and you win in a landslide, you know what that says? People don't believe the press. And when people don't believe the press, that's a very bad thing for our country.
Well, that's the ultimate ironic statement, isn't it? Well, Caroline is out on the road attempting to, I don't know, defend her image. I don't know. But this is what she had to say. This was yesterday.
Advice would be to encourage everyone in this room to try to be the most well-read person in every room that you're in.
Okay,
that was a piece of advice one of my predecessors, Dana Perino, gave to me before I took this job. She said, you always want to be the most well-read person in the room.
Got it.
And I try to be every day.
Same
but
here.
Donald Trump always is. That man does not miss a story.
I'm sorry. Did you just say that Donald Trump is the most well-read person in the room? Caroline, you know that you and the staff have to give him like 8 by 11 pieces of paper with like 4 words on them written in large font. If that's what you mean by reading, then okay. But let's hear that sound again because it gets worse.
To encourage everyone in this room to try to be the most well-read person in every room that you're in. That was a piece of advice one of my predecessors, Dana Perino, gave to me before I took this job. She said, you always want to be the most well-read person in the room. And I try to be every day. But Donald Trump always is. That man does not miss a story, let me tell you. He's always reading the papers and watching the TV. He doesn't miss anything anyone says in the whole world. I don't know how he does it and consumes it all. And it's a lot. And, you know, you guys are busy, right? You're students. You're working. You're in school. You want to have fun. You want to live lives. You can't consume every piece of news, but before you get really hot and bothered about something or maybe angry or even really encouraged by something, check other sources and then use your best judgment to sort of balance what the truth is. And unfortunately,
wait, what? Hold on.
Unfortunately, that's just the way it has to be done. And when you have that heavy...
Okay. What? Okay, I'm sorry. What? Wait a minute. Hold on. That rattled me. Did the press secretary who constantly lies, who constantly says the media is fake, did she just advise college students to confirm and verify their sources? Is that what she just said? Is that what she
So my
just said?
advice would be to encourage everyone in this room to try to be the most...
that is good advice.
Most well-read person in every room that you're in. That was a piece of advice one of my predecessors, Dana Perino, gave to me before I took this job. She said, you always want to be the most well-read person in the room. And I try to be every day. But Donald Trump always is. That man does not miss a story, let me tell you. He's always reading the papers and watching the TV. He doesn't miss anything anyone says in the whole world. I don't know how he does it and consumes it all. And it's a lot. And, you know, you guys are busy, right? You're students. You're working. You're in school. You want to have fun. You want to live lives. You can't consume every piece of news, but before you get really hot and bothered about something or...
Hot and bothered? What are you talking about? Where did that conversation shifted?
Or maybe angry or even really encouraged by something, check other sources and then use your best judgment to sort of balance what the truth is. And unfortunately, that's just the way it has to be done. And when you have that heavy...
What fucking world are we in? What? Somebody just say she's pregnant with Trump's baby? I don't. God, I hope that's not true. I can't believe that would be true. What the fuck was that? Hey, bro, how are you?
How you doing, sir? Great show as always. Everybody shout out to Steve and Emma and RJ. Great people. Always excellent on-topic lives. Great job, everybody.
Thank you.
And so what I just heard there is Miss Levitt is advocating for all of us to cite our sources in APA format, advocating for schools and advocating for colleges, which now Trump is now trying to defund and destroy. So every American out there.
Media literacy. Caroline Levitt is advocating for media literacy, to check your sources and to confirm the validity of your source. So thank you, Caroline. Probably going to cost you your job, but either way.
But she'll always have those luscious machine lips, won't she?
That's true. She'll always have her machine gun lips. That is very, very true. That is correct. Yes. Yes.
I don't know if you covered this, but I do think Hegstead is the next contender because this is costing them the midterms. And Trump has to make sure he looks good for the midterms because Republicans cannot win without him. That has been shown. I mean, we just took Mar-a-Lago down here in Florida, his district. I mean, it was close, but we took it. And I'm great. You know, finally, Florida finally finds out, you know, what it's about. But that's another story. But I'm curious. Hegstead has not promoted this. I don't know. What do you call it, Steve? An excursion? I'm not sure what I'm allowed to call it.
Yeah. Yeah, the excursion. Yeah, the little sojourn, the little trip across the
sojourn.
Yeah.
The Australians might call it a walkabout. Is that what we call
it? Correct. Correct. Yes.
So, you know, he's presented and he's responsible. He's going to have tough questions to face if we do win the midterms, which I'm hoping we do. And the best thing for Trump to do would be to get him out now. I mean, he just fired. Well, didn't fire. He kind of implied that a top general should step down and retire because this effort. Yeah. I don't know what's going on there. I think it's gonna backfire on Trump right now. He's gonna do it now. If he's going to do it now, it's going to be within a month or two because he needs to promote this effort like he's a victory. Trump wants a victory under his belt, and he's not getting it so far. And he's getting madder and madder that he's not getting it. So I think Hegseth has some tough questions to answer. He's not answered them directly. Taxpayers are watching this. My guess right now, I'm expecting it. I'm in Florida, and we're paying roughly about $4.69, $4.70-ish, depending on which station you go to. We do have Wawa's down here, so thank God. So I'm just thinking what do you think, Steve? Is he the next one to go? I think he's a strong candidate.
I don't. I think he'd be one of the last ones to go, quite frankly.
Because he licks the boots. Yeah.
Because he licks the boots and because we're in the middle of this conflict. You don't want that transition right now because that would prove to everyone that the person you had in charge is incompetent for this war that's a non-war, that's a war that's a non-war. Right. So I think he'd be the last one to go, quite frankly.
So where do we go from here? I mean, have we gotten 2 weeks? Where do we go? I mean, we still have this going. You defeated Kamala Harris based on your economic principles, and you literally said you defeated affordability. Yet the Americans that voted for you can't afford to, put on a pair of boots. So where do we go with this?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that it's a bad sign that I was talking about this briefly yesterday about how you're forcing one of the top members of the brass. I think only like second in command in the Joint Chiefs, reports to the chairman and then up to the chain of command. It's a big deal for that person. Like, we don't know why. Was this person, were there meetings behind closed doors that this person was not in support of what we were doing and Hegseth wanted to clear and look for more loyalists? I don't know. But it's not, again, this just goes to show you when you have incompetent people leading people who just want to do their job, you get resistance, and here we sit. But I'm sure it'll all work out in 2 weeks. It'll all work out in 2 weeks. We'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
One final statement. If I can get one more statement, I'm just curious. Donald Trump literally attacked me for having autism, attacked me for being dyslexic and not being able to read correctly. I challenged Donald Trump directly as a voter. I want to see his transcripts from college, and I want to see his transcripts from high school. I want to see, because you don't ace cognitive tests, and I want to see just where he stands in terms of smartness. Just a general question. I'll let you get back to your show.
It's a very good point, bro. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you very much. Have a good day. Be safe out there, sir. It's a good point, right? So, I mean, I don't know, but why would you ask? I think I have the story. Why would you ask a large member, a prominent member of the military brass to leave? Maybe it's because you are concerned about blowback. Maybe because you're concerned about this person might be the cog in the wheel or the fly in the ointment, as they say. It's hard to say. So guess we'll see. But more coming. It is Free Speech Friday, friends. Want to participate in the show? Just tapping is clapping, liking is loving, sharing is caring. Don't forget about our gifting goals. Let's see if we can take care of that. Thanks for helping us push back against that violation warning that we got. You do want to support the channel for the Do Something Tour, please consider doing so at Factsstillmatter. I appreciate you. Foreplay official. How are you today?
Accidental. Sorry, Steve.
Oh, okay. No problem. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Let's see, Chris. Bring up a couple more people, then we'll get back into some. I want to talk about a few other things too. Hey, Chris, how are you, buddy?
Good morning, Steve. How you doing?
I'm all right, man. I need a victory today. Is what I need. That's what I need.
We both do, my friend.
I need a win. Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
If you know, you know. Anyway,
exactly.
What's on your mind?
So you think if Bondi shows up at the hearing, Trump and Marco Rubio are going to show up sitting in the back row with her sister, do a whole Frank Pentangelo type thing?
That's interesting.
Godfather.
Yeah, I don't think the president would go.
No,
I don't think he'd go.
Well, it's interesting though. Whoever they put up for Attorney General is not going to be an easy lift. Paxton, I don't think would do it. Would be able to get confirmed. The only reason he might be would be because they think getting him out of the way would help them keep a seat. But a lot of those, some of those senators are up for re-election and have a tough fight. So they may not be going for these people who are like, I mean, Todd Blanche, no way, because he's involved in the whole E thing. I mean, he got Maxwell out of jail and so forth. So he's no way. I don't know if Janine Pinot Grigio is going to be able to get it. She's a lot. I mean, Elena Hobbit, she's already been fired by a judge. So It's not
That's
gonna
true
be
too.
an easy lift because
That's true too.
these guys are looking at re-election. It's gonna be tough. What I'm also worried about now is because since Mortgagee Patel's name is being mentioned as being on the block, what he's gonna do. You know why he's Mortgagee, right? Because one's fixed and the other is variable.
Oh, goodness gracious.
So I'm afraid what he'll do. But I agree. It's probably going to be the cult member Russian asset, Tulsi first. But it could be Lion Levitt right after it. But I think Patel, a few of them. But none of the people he's going to try to replace are going to be automatic either. Because, like I said, a lot of these senators have buyer's remorse. Some of them, like the one from North Carolina who's retired, he just does not give a fuck anymore.
No.
You know?
That's pretty obvious.
And then you have like Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski. They're not going to be automatic.
No, it's a good point. Similarly with the Supreme Court, as we talked about. So if Samuel Alito is going to retire, which there's rumblings because he's got a book that's coming out, and typically speaking, when you release a book, you go on tour, and his book is supposed to launch before the fall tour starts, or I should say before his book tour is supposed to start before the fall session of the Supreme Court starts. So if he's going to resign, now would be the time to do it because they're concerned about the Senate. So all kinds of things.
Yeah, exactly. So nothing's automatic. Yeah. And so, we'll see. It'd be interesting, but we need that win today, my friend.
I agree, bro.
By the way, where were you Tuesday? Where were you Tuesday?
I just needed the day off.
It was my birthday, and you took my birthday off, and I was going to come on and tell everybody for my birthday, I wanted them to have a good day and do something nice, but then you just screwed up all my plans. So,
well, happy belated birthday to you, sir. Hearts in the chat for Chris being a supporter of the show. Happy belated. I'm sorry I was not there to attend your birthday, my guy.
I know. You screwed it all up, Steve.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Have a good day. You too. Chris and I are Sox fans, and we're angry at the moment, so we'll leave that right there. So I'll just say this. This is pretty bad because this is how it goes, but my mood can be affected by the performance of my baseball team. So I just want to let you know that. Like if things are going really, really well, I might have a bounce in my step. If things are not going very well, as they currently are, there might be some banging my head on the desk. I just want to let you know. We'll leave that right there. All right. So again, as we've been discussing this morning, we're talking about these loyalty tests. We're talking about people who are, who's on the chopping block. There's all kinds of rumors about who it might be. Tulsi Gabbard. If I was a betting person, I can't see it being Caroline Levitt. What I think is more likely to happen is that they hang on to her until she goes out for maternity, and then she doesn't come back. That's kind of what I think is going to happen. Curious your thoughts on that, but we'll see. Okay, so let me see. I want to shift gears a little bit because, as you know, and I talked about this a little bit last night because there was some breaking news that came down across the wire last night about how the Trump administration is going back to the well to try to get some more money. Before we get into that, I do want to play our little sounder for our tour. I think it's important that we keep this top of mind, friends. If you don't mind, I would just like to play this again for people who are just joining us for the first time. This is the promotion of our Do Something tour. Here you go, and I'll be right back. Honest. A lot of people in this country are tired. Not just busy tired. I mean soul tired. Tired of working hard and still feeling like they're falling behind. Tired of watching the news and feeling powerless. Tired of hearing promises every election season and then watching nothing change. And if you ever felt like your vote doesn't matter, like your voice doesn't count, I want you to know something. You're not alone, and you're not wrong for feeling that way. Because when you feel ignored long enough, you stop believing anyone is listening. And when you stop believing anyone is listening, you stop showing up. But here's what I've learned in my life. The moment that good people stop showing up is the moment the wrong people take over the room. That's why I'm launching something called the Do Something Tour. Not because I think I have the answers, not because I'm here to tell anyone what to think, but because I believe we're losing something precious in this country, and that's our faith in each other. I'm going to travel the country to sit down with people who feel forgotten, people who feel dismissed, people who feel like the system is built for someone else. And I'm going to listen. I want to hear what broke your trust. I want to hear what you've lived through. I want to hear what you wish the people in power actually understood about your life. Because the truth is, democracy is not a speech. It's not a slogan. It's not something that happens once every 4 years. Democracy is people. It's parents trying to keep their kids safe. It's workers trying to keep food on the table. It's communities trying to stay whole. It's people who don't want to be a headline. They just want to be okay. And I know this. If we want change, we can't just hope for it. We have to participate in it. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm not asking you to know every issue. I'm not asking you to trust politicians. I'm asking you to trust your own worth. To remember that your voice matters, even if it's been ignored. To remember that your vote matters, even if it hasn't felt like it has. And to remember that your presence matters, because this country belongs to you, too. So this is my invitation. Come back in, not because the system deserves you, but because your community does. Your kids do. Your future does. This is the Do Something Tour. If you've ever felt powerless, I want you to hear me clearly. You still have power. So, let's do something. Together. Shout out to Sam, shout out to Gregory, shout out to our friend Chris Lewis, shout out to Gravedigger, shout out to lots of people who helped us put that together. Thank you for allowing me to play that. You want to support the channel, you can do so at Factsstillmatter. We need your help. Appreciate you guys. Okay, we were just talking about Caroline, and I think it's necessary that we remind people again of a couple of things, because there was this infamous moment that the White House is trying to move away from when the president was talking about childcare. Now, I brought this up last night during this debate, the moment the president talked about cutting daycare, and I thought I had a little bit of agreement, because there was some agreement, actually. Some of the people that were on the panel were a bit surprised by the president making that statement. I challenged them to think about this in terms of America first. Is it an America first policy? You've heard it. We can't afford daycare, we can't afford childcare, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to play some back-to-back clips for you, and then I'm going to play for you, or we'll talk about Caroline Leavitt's response. So this is from Wednesday. This is when the president talked about this. And then you're going to hear Marco Rubio have a bit of a different spin on this. Okay, so here you go.
Possible for us to take care of daycare, Medicaid, Medicare, all these individual things. They can do it on a state basis. You can't do it on a federal. We have to take care of one thing: military protection.
And at the end of the day, I think that if there are people in Iran who now, given everything that's happened, are willing to move in a different direction for their country, that would be great. Imagine in Iran that instead of spending their wealth, billions of dollars supporting terrorists or weapons, had spent that money helping the people of Iran, you'd have a much different country. So we are always hopeful that that would exist over there.
So let's just get this straight for a second. The president of the United States, actually, here's a little bit more sound. Let's go one deeper, okay? Because the deeper, the better. Let's go one deeper. This is Pete Hegseth, okay?
Iran's an energy-rich country, should be.
So are we.
Instead, like so many other places driven by a radical ideology, they've spent that money instead of investing in their people. And that's why you had millions of Iranians protesting, because they felt like their quality of life didn't match what it could be or should be. And what was the Iranian state? There's a reason we call Iran the #1 state sponsor of terrorism, because they took the money they make and they invest it in tunnels, and they invested in missiles, and they invested in launchers and UAVs, and we are destroying and degrading that in historic proportions. But it doesn't mean they won't still have some and try to hold people at issue, which is why we're fighting every single day to continue to compel.
Okay. So we have the president saying that we can't afford childcare, can't afford daycare, can't afford Medicare, can't afford Medicaid, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Marco Rubio, you heard it. Imagine if Iran used their immense wealth and invested in their people. Okay. Pete Hegseth doubles down the same statement. Caroline Leavitt getting panned because Garrett Haake, who's a reporter for NBC, said, Trump says it's not possible for the U.S. to pay for Medicaid, Medicare, and daycare. Quote, we're fighting wars. To which Caroline Leavitt responds with this: Democrats and the left-wing media are dishonestly taking President Trump's comments out of context. I don't know how you can take this out of context. Let me just play it again for you, just so we are exactly understanding what the president said.
It's not possible for us to take care of daycare, Medicaid, Medicare, all these individual things. They can do it on a state basis. You can't do it on a federal. We have to take care of one thing: military protection.
Okay, so just so we're clear, her argument was Democrats and the left-wing media are dishonestly taking President Trump's comments out of context. What did we take out of context? President Trump was talking about the importance of stopping the scams and rooting out the billions of dollars in fraud in these vital programs that elected Democratic officials. What? And don't forget, as we learned this morning, J.D. Vance has now been appointed, wait for it, friends, fraud czar. I shit you not. So was that taken out of context? As we travel around these right-wing spaces, as you know, I go there so you don't have to. You're welcome. You're going to hear that now. Well, I took it out of context. What? What did we take out of context? The president said it. We can't afford to do it. And you know what? We know it's true because there is reporting from Yahoo, MSNBC, Reuters, all kinds of news agencies are reporting the same thing. Trump's new budget cuts more health care to pay for more wars. You just heard it. We know that the Pentagon has already asked for $200 billion. The president has now preparing to release a budget plan that sets aside more than $1 trillion for defense spending in 2027, a sum that will be at least partially paid for by cuts to programs that actually help Americans. He's looking to boost defense spending to $1.5 trillion. Our defense budget now just sits just below $1 trillion. So he wants to add $500 billion to defense spending, up from the nearly $1 trillion spent this fiscal year. Bloomberg reported Thursday, the demand for more defense funding comes amid Trump's increasingly unpopular war in Iran and its ever-rising price tag, unknown death toll, and vacillating objectives. All of this comes at the cost of cutting federal programs, a tool that Democrats could use to their advantage come the midterms. Trump's drastic cuts to the federal workforce and reduction on health care spending should play nicely for Democrats who hope to highlight affordability. Trump spoke frankly Wednesday about prioritizing paying for a war. He just heard the sound, but out of context, right? Paying for a war over programs such as universal daycare, Medicaid, Medicare. So frankly, in fact, that the White House removed a recording of his speech after posting it. Trump's 2027 budget proposal is also expected to update 10-year deficit projections, which are currently placed at around $16 trillion. And don't forget, okay, $16 trillion is the deficit. Okay, 16 trillion. That would be the deficit. The majority of that deficit handed to us on the back of 2 Trump administrations. But don't worry, J.D. Vance is on the job, because this is what he said about J.D. Vance.
President J.D. Vance is now in charge of fraud in the United States. It is massive and pervasive, and the job he will be doing in conjunction with many great people within the Trump administration will be a major factor in how great the future of our country will be. We will call him the the fraud czar, and his focus will be everywhere, but primarily in those blue states where crooked Democratic politicians like those in California, Illinois, Minnesota, Somalia, beware, Maine, New York, and others have had a free-for-all in the unprecedented theft of taxpayer money. The numbers are so large that if successful, we would literally be able to balance our American budget. Okay.
$16 trillion is the deficit. The president thinks by appointing J.D. Vance, he is going to find $16 trillion to balance the budget. And he believes that the waste, fraud, and abuse is in programs like SNAP, Medicaid, Medicare, rural hospital spending, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I brought up that topic last night during that debate. And the argument from those people that I was speaking to was they would rather increase the defense budget by $500 billion than support programs for the elderly, for single parents, for the working poor, for the disabled. And then I asked the question, at that particular time, I asked the question, do you think food is a right? And they said no. Well, if you grow it, sure, but I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to feed people who don't deserve it. Yeah, you heard it right yesterday. Hopefully I carried the flag for you all, but I just, those conversations just kind of bother me because here we sit going down another road of reckless spending in the federal government. Where are the priorities? So a $16 trillion deficit that we currently have. We just passed $39 trillion in the federal debt. And they put J.D. Vance in charge of he's now the fraud czar. Trump's 2027 budget proposal is also expected to update 10-year deficit projections, which are currently placed at around $16 trillion. During his first term, Trump promised to erase the nation's debt, but instead added $7.8 trillion to it. Given that the Supreme Court struck down his disastrous reciprocal tariff policy that he promised would help balance the deficit, it's not clear how he'd make good on that major promise now. The U.S. government is staring down a projected $1.9 trillion deficit for this fiscal year, with the total national debt crossing $39 trillion. But don't worry. J.D. Vance is on the job. Don't worry. So the gaslight continues from people within the administration and talking heads connected to the body politic. So when they go out on their various news channels and they talk to people, they just want to remind you of a couple of things. Nothing to see here, you guys. Nothing to see here.
This is a short-term disruption for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain be for long-term gain.
We're going to have some short-term pain with long-term gain.
Short-term pay for a long-term gain.
Some short-term pain, yes, but we've got some long-term gain. Short-term spike for a long-term gain.
Some short-term pain for American consumers. We may have to deal with that in the short term.
Short-term and temporary.
Temporary, short-term pain.
It's going to suck in the short term.
Some short-term pain.
Short-term pain. We have to focus on the short term.
Short-term.
Short-term. Short-term.
Short-term and long-term.
Short-term blip. Hopefully this is a short-term pain. Short-term is highly outweighed of the long-term benefits.
Some short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain.
When we talk about how MAGA falls in line, that's what I'm talking about. Everybody with the same message. Short-term pain, long-term gain. Never mind, we were promised no new wars. Never mind, we were promised there'd be no more inflation. Never mind, we were promised revitalization of the golden age of America. Never mind, we were promised that gas prices and inflation were going to drop like crazy, as gas prices are now up again, $4.09, and oil traded the single. I want to get the exact quote right. This came out yesterday, reported by NBC. U.S. oil has its biggest one-day price increase in 6 years. Who was president 6 years ago? Interesting. Driving the cost of gas even higher. Stocks swung sharply as investors wrestled with mixed headlines. The nationwide average price of unleaded gas is $4.09, while diesel fuel jumped to $5.51. Diesel is up nearly $2 a gallon. You don't need to tell a trucker. That is fucking crazy. Oil prices surged on Thursday, threatening to further drive up the price of gas as hopes for a near-term resolution to the Iran war faded following President Trump's address to the nation. Stocks were volatile, with major indices plunging early in the day before moving higher at the close on shifting headlines about the war in the Middle East. U.S. indices covered their early losses on news that Iran's deputy foreign minister said his country would outline a, quote, new navigation regime in the Strait after the war ended, injecting fresh optimism into markets over the future of key waterways. At the closing of the bell yesterday, the S&P closed up 0.11%. The NASDAQ composite ended higher by 0.18%, and the Dow average fell to 61 points. The Russell 2000 index, which tracks smaller companies, rose 0.7%. So, still got... HIC Andrew, can you come up? I just sent you a request because I just have a question for you. I want to ask you a few things. You can make a statement like that. We can talk about it. And you're right. At one point in the Biden administration, gas was over $5 a gallon. I'd like to talk to you about why. Like, why do you think that is? If you don't know, then you don't know. That's fine. But maybe you'd be willing to learn something. There's, you can flex from the comment section if you want to, or you could just come up and talk to me about it. I have a feeling you won't take the invite, but maybe you will. Maybe I'll be surprised. My entire point with this conversation is this. It doesn't matter the conditions. This administration will gaslight you. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the circumstances. It doesn't matter how far the gas prices go up. I mean, there are reports that as we get into the summer driving season, we might hit $5 a gallon on average. This is self-inflicted, okay? This is self-inflicted. This is something that if the president had just not bothered taking the bait from Bibi Netanyahu, we wouldn't be here. President could have gotten reelected and just not done a damn thing. He just could have gone and played golf every single day. We had the economy in the world. We were humming. The entire Western world was jealous of the American economy. But no, couldn't do that. Could have just left it alone. But nope, couldn't do that. Had to make a promise that he couldn't fulfill. But don't worry, friends, it's short-term gain for long-term gain. Short-term pain for long-term gain. So I'm going to play some sound now from Jeff Drew. Jeff Drew is a representative from New Jersey. If Jeff Drew is your member of Congress, 202-224-3121. I want to remind you that that's the switchboard number. Please contact them because you have to ask them some questions about this. Now, I want people to understand this is this is Jeff Drew. He's a representative from New Jersey. He's a bit of a radical, and he has the solution. This was a hot mic moment. He has the solution for you, so don't worry.
On and on of all the things. Our gas tax automatically increases in New Jersey. And by the way, so do our tolls and our fees automatically increase. All of that. Now we're going to have on top of that, and I'm talking to my folks in New Jersey, my state, you better just keep breaking your back and working hard. Maybe get yet another job.
Oh, okay. So that's the answer. Let's just check in with, again, this is Jeff Van Drew. Those of you in New Jersey who is represented by Jeff Van Drew, I would like you, I can put this in the comment section. I'll put this in the mod chat. And they can put it in the general chat if you'd like to use it if you're in New Jersey. And you'd like to call his office and ask him about this.
The list goes on and on of all the things. Our gas tax automatically increases in New Jersey. And by the way, so do our tolls and our fees automatically increase. All of that. Now we're going to have on top of that, and I'm talking to my folks in New Jersey, my state, you better just keep breaking your back and working hard. Maybe get yet another job.
Just get another job. No, he's a Republican. Just go get another job. Just go get, what are you worried about? Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Just go get another job. And this goes back to these things that frustrate me. Like I'll be listening to Ash sometimes get some of the people in her live when they come up and they brag about working 70 hours a week. And I'm like, dude, that's not a fucking flex. It's like not a flex to brag about working 70 hours a week. I don't want you to work 70 hours a week. I would rather you have time with your family. I would rather you had time to enjoy life a little bit, right? I would rather you do that. I would rather you not risk getting injured on your 70-hour-a-week job because you probably can't afford health care. It's not a fucking flex. And here we have a Republican elected official who's on the fucking extreme side. He is full-blown fucking MAGA. His answer to self-inflicted pain at the hands of the Trump administration by taking us into another war, cutting healthcare subsidies, right? Which means more out of pocket. Inflation is up. People are losing their jobs. His answer is just go and get another job. What did I take wrong? I don't think I took anything wrong. What did I take wrong, Mimi? I don't even know. Anyway, go ahead. Go ahead and get another job. I think I'm reading into that wrong. Maybe get another job. Who can't afford groceries? Maybe get another job. I don't know how I'm reading that wrong. Like, No, he's the rep. Maybe we stop paying taxes so we can live off the wages we earn. All the nopes, and he needs to lose his job getting paid to destroy America. The comments don't he's being sarcastic. I don't know about that. He's a Republican. These are Republican policies. Okay, the Republicans are driving the cost of living up, right? So I don't think he's saying that. Maybe. That's fine. You can have your opinion on that. I've listened to it a few times. We can listen to it again.
The list goes on and on of all the things. Our gas tax automatically increases in New Jersey. And by the way, so do our tolls and our fees.
Right. Gas tax increases when the price of the pump increases. Self-inflicted price of the pump increasing, right? His answer to that is what?
Automatically increase. All of that. Now we're going to have on top of that, and I'm talking to my folks in New Jersey, my state, you better just keep breaking your back and working hard, maybe get yet another job.
What am I missing? He wouldn't be suggesting that if gas prices weren't going up, right? I mean, okay, you can interpret that however you like. That's totally fine. But keep in mind, this goes along with the president requesting another $500 billion for the defense budget, cutting social services, cutting ACA benefits again. We're already paying out the fucking ass, right? So if he's pissed, fine. But the reality is the solution now is just go out and get another job. Gas is $3.50, not an issue, Adrian? Adrian, come on. Why didn't you ever request? You're in here all the time, but you never request. Right? So here we sit. We're in this fucking hellscape. We're stuck in the middle of this bullshit. And now the message from the administration is, let's not worry about it. It's just short-term pain, long-term gain. We can't afford health care. $1.40 less than under Biden. Adrian, can you just get in the box? I see you chirping. Why don't you just request? It's not that difficult. Just request. It's not a big deal. Just come up and talk to me. We can discuss it. I can ask you why gas prices hit $5 under Joe Biden. And then you could answer the question. And then we can talk about why gas prices are continuing to rise under Donald Trump. And then I'll remind you of the promise that the president made to you. He was going to get your gas prices under $2 a gallon nationally. He told you just the other night that there was no inflation. Do you believe that? Why do we continue to hemorrhage jobs, Adrian? Bro, you don't have to debase yourself by supporting this shit. You don't. You don't. I know you love being in here every day. I know you must think I'm wildly handsome. You can fill out the application for the throuple if you'd like. It's available to Discord. Feel free. But stop debasing yourself. You don't have to defend this shit. You could be angry. You should be more angry than we are. Because we fucking told you this shit was going to happen. We're the ones that told you that. I know he's trolling, but this is for anybody else. We told you. You should be more angry than any of us. No, the national average, my guy, before gas taxes go into place is $4 a gallon. And it's likely going to get worse. I'm going to play a little sound now from Mr. Global because I think it's appropriate. So let's just hear what Mr. Global has to say.
So oil prices just exceeded $141 a barrel. And I want to explain to you exactly what this means because this is going to be confusing. This $141 Brent dated price is not the price that you see online. This is the price that you see online. This, as you may...
Which is $1.09. He's talking about Brent crude, B-R-E-N-T, which is $141 a barrel. He's talking about the price that we see online, which is $108 a barrel.
Recall is the paper market. This is the physical market. Mm-hmm. And what this means is that today people are paying over $141 a barrel for oil that's going to be delivered in the next 2 to 3 weeks. That's Brent oil. Now, about probably 3/4 of the oil that we import into the United States is priced on this price right here, the actual physical price. And that is the highest price since 2008 under George Bush.
Oh boy, since 2008. That's the highest price. on the Brent oil exchange that we paid since 2008. What happened in 2008, Adrian?
Right before we went into one of the deepest recessions the country has ever seen.
There you go.
If that price is able to sustain itself and have any legs or continues to rise, fuel prices are going to rise extraordinarily, a lot. Thanks.
So, what is the argument going to be, Adrian, and others, right? What is the argument going to be when we hit that $5 a gallon average? We can go to the EIA, right? So we now know that gas sits at $4.09 a gallon as of today. EIA tracks it monthly. Gas Buddy, AAA, they track it daily, right? So the EIA tracks it monthly. At the end of March, the national average, according to the EIA, was $3.77 a gallon. Okay? So that was the average. Currently, like I said, the average nationwide, according to, because it's been rising ever since, just for clarification purposes, $4.09 today, $4.08 yesterday, $3.97 a week ago, $3.10 a month ago, $3.26 a year ago. Okay, so gas prices are up almost $1 since the same date last year. Diesel prices a year ago were $3.63. Now they sit at $5.53. But again, Adrian, I understand. You're angry because you have to defend this shit. According to the EIA, right, the last time we had gas at $4 a gallon was, was coming out of the pandemic, $4.08 a gallon. So that was in 2022. We talk about the OPEC Plus deal. Don't forget, the president went to OPEC, asked them to reduce production because of domestic oil companies were getting hammered. They agreed. Everybody opens back up. The global economy opens back up, and oil prices spiked. Because at the beginning of 2021, the first day of the Biden presidency, gas was at $2.42 a gallon. $2.42 a gallon. So the last month of the Biden presidency, gas was at $3.04. I'm sorry, $3.40 a gallon. So who do you want to blame? If you want to blame Joe Biden for increasing gas prices, then you have to blame Donald Trump for doing the same. But you won't do that. Why? Adrian, again, I'm using Adrian as the moniker for everybody who's in here. Everybody who wants to be in the throuple. All right? Listen. You don't have to cuck on the daily basis. You don't have to simp. You don't have to sniff the taint. You don't have to do any of those things. You're not going to get picked. You're not going to get an invitation to the ballroom. That's no longer a ballroom. You're not going to go to the new Trump library in Miami. You're not going to go to Mar-a-Lago. You're not going to get a tea time at the Bedminster. If I ever played golf there, I'd want to hit a wayward shot over onto Ivana's grave and take a big divot. Anyway, none of those things are going to happen. So instead of trying to say, what about Biden? And by the way, so there was a conversation yesterday that we had about a Cheeto-shaped plushie with orange hair. And when you squeeze it, it says, what about Biden? So we have to figure that out because that would be awesome. Anyway, here's where we sit. No pain. I'm sorry, Dakota. I'm sorry. No pain, short-term pain, long-term gain. Tell me why this is okay. Tell me why it's okay that we can increase the defense budget. If J.D. Vance is the new fraud czar, in case you hadn't heard, yes, the president has officially tabbed the vice president of the United States with the title of fraud czar. If that is the case, and he's set to go after fraud, then why not go after one of the biggest single budgetary lines that we have in our government, which is the DOD, who hasn't passed an audit in like a decade? Okay? Instead, so normally if you have bad financial behavior, right, and you are constantly committing fraud, then why do you keep getting money? So we've cut programs in Medicaid, Medicare, SNAP when the fraud rate is less than 5%. We have and they get their budgets slashed. We have the Pentagon, which hasn't passed an audit in nearly a decade, which spans the Trump administration the first time, the Biden administration, and now Trump again. They haven't passed an audit in, like I said, like a decade, and yet we give them more money. King crab legs, Steinway pianos, lobster, prime rib, the best of the best. That's not fraud. You're okay with that. So we'll increase the debt. We'll increase the deficit. We'll give the Department of Defense more money, and we'll cut social service programs. Meanwhile, we're going to likely pay $5 a gallon for gas on the national average. So you don't have to debase yourself. You really don't have to. You don't have to sit here and just defend this shit. You should be angry. And one of the persons that we were debating last night, I brought up the statement that the president made. And I thought we made progress. I'm like, is it America first for the president to say we should be cutting childcare? And then she happened to reference that speech he made. I played it for you yesterday. Actually, we did a little bit of a sounder, right? I read the text. Childcare is childcare, right? She's like, that was an America first promise that he made. And then, of course, you have to figure out a way to kind of sneak in some other bullshit. Well, I don't think states should do that. And then I mentioned the fact that blue states pay more in taxes. And she's like, well, that's not true. I'm like, yeah, it is true. She's like, well, no, it's not. I said, yeah, it actually is. And then I was accused of lying about Romney Care, saying that it was started in Utah because Mitt Romney was a senator from Utah. And I said, yeah, you're right, he was, but he's also a governor of Massachusetts. And the model for the ACA was Romney Care in Massachusetts, which, by the way, they still use a version of today. It wasn't Millie. No. So it's where we sit. This clear fucking divide in our country. It's more and more clear every single day. The pro-life crowd doesn't give a fuck about life. The small government crowd loves big government, raw dogging them. The individual rights and freedom party loves to have rights taken away. The people who care about being censored cheer on when journalists get censored, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, Adrian, correct. Right. I'm sure Nick Shirley told you that, right? So here we are again, fighting the uphill fight for basic human rights. That's it. We want rights protected. We want society to advance, and we're accused of being radical. Okay. Which one's Pink? How are you today?
Hey, Steve. I'm well, thanks. I'm well. I appreciate what you're doing here, and thank you for accepting my request.
You got it.
You've touched on so many things this morning, it's hard to know where to slide in and maintain the flow of conversation.
It's Free Speech Friday, though. It's Free Speech Friday, so wherever you want to take it, feel free.
Well, I think the Caroline Leavitt situation may walk us there if we've got time to talk about it.
Sure.
I think it's very possible, right? No one can predict any timeline, but it's very possible that she'll be allowed to stay as long as she chooses in that post, and will be able to leave with grace and dignity and reward for loyalty and all of those things. But I think she and Kirk are going to be pedestaled as examples of American fertility.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm very concerned about that kind of example, but my point in bringing that up is leaning to patriarchy and the self-inflicted and self-titled issue of loneliness in men's America today.
Yeah, I think. Are you talking about the male loneliness epidemic in general?
I won't use that language, but yes, I am talking about that topic. Yep.
I think it's self-inflicted.
I do. Yes.
Yep. I think it's contrived by the patriarchy to try to put men in a position where they can feel justified being a victim. I think it's complete fucking bullshit.
Well, just like anything else, there's nuance and layer, and it's what's the source of it, right? And men are not offered the opportunity or given the guidance to understand, identify, or articulate our emotions. And so the way we express them is very limited, very blunted. And so it causes a great, and the
hang on 1 second. Which one? Hang on 1 second. Philly, I appreciate that as well. You might want to check with the host. I don't know why he blocked me. I appreciate you being there too. Thanks for that. But the host blocked me. I don't know why that was necessary. I think I was respectful to you guys. So maybe if he's your friend, you could reach out to him and ask him why he did that. Sorry, which one? Go ahead.
I may have been beginning to ramble.
No, I mean, I talk about this space. I talk about this in this space often about how men have to fix men, right? I don't believe. Again, like I said, I believe that the male loneliness epidemic is contrived. I think that there's reasons that men are alone. They're not really doing much to try to improve their behavior. Ultimately, that's what this comes down to, right? It's not on women to fix men. It's on men to fix men. And we have to be the ones to check our behavior. So if we're alone, either incel or it's a choice that men are making, or women are just like, we're fucking done with this bullshit. So it's not because of anything other than men.
You won't get any pushback from me on that. But what are the ways that we can actively address it, right? And it's confrontational. It's breaking away from the right to comfort, right? There are tenets to supremacy and patriarchy, and they're all intertwined and interrelated. The tools work in all of the different structures. And those are the things that I think are important to name, identify, and say out loud so that we can confront them more directly every time we're encountered with them. Because that is what it takes. It takes an active dismantling of the social modeling of the behavior, every opportunity that we get.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I think the burden still falls to men, white men in particular. White men have to fix white men.
That's
I've talked
why
about this
my
before.
voice is here saying this at this time.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, my focus oftentimes, I've expressed this. I'm going to get into a story about this just a second, about how, I worry about the Gen Alpha and I worry about Gen Z, man. I worry about the influence of the red pill. It's a cautionary tale for parents. You really have to be paying attention. I worry about that generation a lot. There's a creator on the app that I really like. His name is Lex. He might be in the chat. He's a specialist. He specializes in these kinds of things.
Lex Casey?
No, a different Lex. He's a Brit. He's a clinician in this particular space. He talks about these kinds of things. We're gonna do a collab on a topic to address this. Working on the details. So that's gonna be coming. Like basically, how can men fix men is the idea. So that's kind of what we're working
on. Many still need to be startled. Many still need to be startled.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I think you're right. Thanks for jumping in today, bro. I appreciate you.
Thanks. I appreciate you having me. Stay safe.
You got it. You too. Have a good Friday. On that particular topic, Jesse Waters, not necessarily known as a defender of women, this is what he had to say on the 5 just last night.
There will not be a female president in her lifetime, and I say thank God. I hope there's not a female president in my lifetime.
Why would you say that?
You know what many people are saying, Jessica? Many people are saying, do women have the...
You are just jumping off a cliff just because you're bored.
Emotional maturity to be
You are just bored.
Many people are saying, do they have the personal contacts in the business world to manage the economy? Many people are saying, Greg, do women have the respect of the generals?
Who said that?
Many people are saying women don't have the sense of humor to be president. I've heard that from a lot of people. None of those things I believe, but I believe. Yeah. Well, Nancy says there will not be a female president in her lifetime. And
so, I say this often, Queens, they are fucking terrified of you. Hi, Emma. They are terrified of you. They are so scared of the queens. They are terrified. So I say this often, give them a reason to be. They are so fucking scared. You hear it every single day. Look at the people that are targeted. Look at the voter suppression tactics with the SAVE Act. Look at the rights being taken away, saying, well, we just gave it to the states. Yeah, indeed, bring on the matriarchy. More importantly, though, bring on a system of trickle-up economics where we center everything we do around women and children. And I firmly believe if we do that, we can shake shit up and fucking make life better. I firmly believe it. I really, really do. Good morning, April. How are you? It's been a minute.
I'm good. Yeah, it has. I'm always listening, usually driving and listening to you. But there was something to go back to what you were speaking about before, about the cost of everything and all. I don't know if you've mentioned it because I've been in and out of the car, but did you mention the 100% tariffs on pharmaceutical, name brand pharmaceuticals that he implemented yesterday?
I don't have that. I did see something about steel. So, yeah.
He put name brand pharmaceuticals, 100%. And do you know what happened a few days before that? Tel Aviv pharmaceutical market that creates 80% of generics.
Generics. That's right. That's right. That's right.
And
Shocker.
people just, yeah, it's amazing. All this stuff lines up. I mean, it all was created by the big, beautiful bill. I mean,
sure was.
We only bring in 95 billion a week, and we're spending 140 billion a week. He's in debt. Now he's causing debt of 50 billion per week. Just from that big, beautiful bill. And now he's adding all this. We had enough with tariffs. Now the gas is outright. Poor people, facts. It's getting bad out there.
But don't worry, April. Don't worry, April. JD Vance is now the fraud czar. So don't worry. Everything's going to be totally fine. Totally fine. Nothing to see here. Totally fine.
Yeah, it's just crazy, all this stuff, and they're not putting it all together. Every measure he's doing, the whole daycare thing. That was asked before the election about daycare.
Correct.
And he said, yes, that's so important to the American family so they can help make it. And he said he was going to do something. Now, we can't have Medicaid, we can't have Medicare, we can't have daycare, but we're going to just keep funneling money into the military machine.
Correct.
And so on that note, with the military machine, did you see Pete Hegseth just lifted the ban on owning guns on bases?
Saw that too.
Ain't that? It's just, they're just one right after another. They're tearing us apart. He's absolutely destroying us. And people, they don't see it.
No, they don't. Well, I think they see it. They just don't see it as a problem. I think that's the difference.
Oh, God, I just don't know where we go from here. All I can say is we had better show up in November. That's
totally agree.
All there is to it. We've got to show up.
Agree.
Because we've got to stop this machine. I mean, the damage is going to be done. We'll probably be in a deep recession by the end of this year, by the time we have elections.
It seems like it. Yeah, it seems like I think the president was hoping that perhaps making these changes in cabinet positions might take some attention away from him. But to Mr. Global just described it, it's going to take a long time for the global supply chain to respond to the situation in the Strait of Hormuz and elsewhere. Gas prices are not going to just drop overnight. They're going to be this way for a while. They're going to continue to go up, and Republicans are going to have to run on it. So good luck.
Good luck. Yeah, and don't forget about the LNG. Said it would take 5 years to get back to where it was. It's crazy.
Correct. Enjoy your electric bills.
Yeah. It's just holy crap. All right, that's all I wanted to say because I didn't think I had heard you mention the pharmaceutical tariffs, and that's like wow. And
I'll read it.
And Tel Aviv was just hit. Yeah,
I know. Like I said, my mods just shared it with me. I'll read it. From that, friends, if you don't follow April hosts lives. Really enjoy her shows. Please follow her. Friend of the show. She's been gracious enough to allow me up in her space before. So Thank you, friend. From one live host to another, I appreciate the work that you do. Thanks for
All
being here. I
right.
appreciate you.
Thank you, Fax. Have a great day.
You too. See you later. Yeah, what she was referring to is this. Thank you, Brooke, for putting this in the chat. Trump signs 100% tariff on brand name pharmaceuticals. Drug companies that commit to moving production to the U.S. will face a 20% tariff and no tariff if they also agree to lower prices. President Trump's ordered a 100% tariff on brand name pharmaceuticals produced overseas as his admin escalates efforts to push drug companies to manufacture in the U.S. He threatened to impose tariffs last year, but has since worked to negotiate deals with drug companies to lower their prices and bring drug production to the U.S. Multiple companies have agreed to such deals. Drug companies that commit to moving production to the U.S. will face a 20% tariff while they are transitioning and no tariff if they agree to lower prices to so-called most favored nation status. Levels paid by other countries. According to the order, the full tariff will be levied if drug production isn't in the U.S. in 4 years. The EU, Japan, South Korea, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom are exempt from the tariff due to existing trade deals with the U.S. A senior White House official said the tariff will help ensure the United States is not beholden to other countries for life-saving drugs. The tariff takes effect on July 31st for some companies and September the 29th for others, depending on their size. The United States is heavily reliant on imports, threatening to limit United States access to life-saving medications in the event of global supply chain disruption due to geopolitical or economic disruption. Okay. The order signed yesterday states, adding that 53% of patented drugs distributed in the U.S. are manufactured outside the country. Steep tariffs could increase drug prices. Steep tariffs would increase drug prices. Roughly 90% of U.S. drug prescriptions are for generic medications. The 100% tariff applies to brand name drugs that still have a patent, not generics. Trump, in enacting the pharmaceutical levy, is using a tariff authority that wasn't impacted by a Supreme Court ruling, striking down his use of emergency powers to enact sweeping tariffs. The new levy on pharmaceutical comes on the anniversary of Trump launching his aggressive tariff program last year, Liberation Day. It has since faced setbacks in court and strong criticism from Democrats. Some Republicans worried about their higher prices. The Democratic National Committee said April 2nd that Trump is damaging the economy with a reckless trade war. So here we sit. Here's a solution to these rising prices on pharmaceuticals. Universal health care. Yeah, because you can control the cost. And you become the collective bargain. We all negotiate together. And we solve our problems together. But no, that's a bridge too far. Good morning, my friend. How are you today?
Hello there.
Oop. Where'd you go? That was quick.
Hi.
There you go. You're back. Hi.
Sorry. Let me just correct a couple of things. It's pretty important. Tel Aviv develops drugs, doesn't really manufacture drugs. The vast majority of generic drugs come from India, Mexico, Canada, and Puerto Rico. So just wanted to put that out there.
Okay.
Feel free to fact check that, but I only know that because in COVID, when there was a shortage on some medicines, it's because there was a supply chain disruption for Puerto Rico and India, and that's why most generics weren't available. So just want to put that out there. Can I talk about that? You called it a debate that you were on last night.
Sure.
I called it further proof that MAGA are the stupidest people that lack any form of critical thinking on the planet.
Sure.
The literal.
Yes, the only thing I ask. Hold on 1 second. The only thing I ask is that we got flagged earlier. So just be mindful of how you address the people that we were debating, if you don't mind.
Sure. I'm not mentioning names, but a guy who may or may not be related to Pasta was literally incapable of regulating his emotional IQ. He had talking points that he could not deviate from because they were directly attached to his feelings. The problem with MAGA is that they read but do not have critical thinking or comprehension skills. I've said this 1,000 times. Just because you could read the words on a piece of paper doesn't mean you understand the words. I'm going to give you an example.
That's correct.
You and I have talked about this a couple of times, right? When it comes to regulatory stuff, between myself and my business partner, we're pretty fucking smart and recognized experts in the finance space. Yeah.
Yes, you do. Yeah.
So here's kind of the thing, right? It's taken me decades to get to the point to where I could read financial regulations that have been passed by Congress and actually understand the words on the page. But what I saw on display last night were really four, including the host, who was, I guess, attempting to be neutral, but I don't know if he's looked the word up in the dictionary. Perhaps he should. They were incapable of stating facts, right? Here's the truth, okay? You are always entitled to your opinion, but you are never entitled to your own set of facts. In order to have your own set of facts, you have to understand the data. In order to understand the data, you had to have gone to graduate school, period. You have to have done peer-led review research, either as a part of your master's thesis or as a part of a group, right? Like, if you haven't done that, don't use the word research, because I'm sorry, you have not done it. But this is what they were doing to you, right? They were so obvious with their gaslighting and their attempts for gotchas, right? That even when you made clarification statements, they thought you had changed what you said. What you did was called dumbing it down so they understood the words coming out of your mouth.
Correct.
There is no hope for them. None. I'm going to give you another example because this has been on TikTok lately. You have a whole bunch of people saying there's all this gold in Fort Knox. And if we sold it, we could wipe out the debt. Okay, so let me do some quick math for everyone without an Excel spreadsheet. If I take all of the gold, all of the troy ounces of gold in Fort Knox, and I sold it at the height of $5,100, right? Per. That is $758 billion. Can someone explain to me how $758 billion wipes out $34 to $36 trillion?
It doesn't.
Right. But you know, you can't convince people in MAGA because they think gold's going to keep going up. Now, here's what happens. If you bid up, which means you continue to buy and you watch the price rise, and then all of a sudden you start selling large portions of that market, where do you think the price goes? Do you think it goes up or do you think it goes down?
It crashes almost.
Yes. So if you thought you were going to make $758 billion, which is a gracious offer, by the way,
sure.
You wouldn't. As a matter of fact, it is quite possible that you would make half or less than half of what you had intended because they live in a static world. Everything they believe is literally in the moment. If you live dynamically, you look around, you read, you listen to other people, you learn from other people. When other people need to set you straight, you sit and you listen and you take it and you grow and you learn from it. MAGA are not dynamic. They are static. Everything they do and say are snapshots and moments in time.
Correct.
So, you know, we've got to.
Correct. Yep.
I don't know how you keep doing it, by the way.
I don't know if you heard, but I did, and Ali Mom pointed this out. I did say maths last night. That was an honor.
Oh, thank you.
Homage to you, sir. You're welcome.
I appreciate you. And that's because, kids, there's more than one.
Math.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, I got to go. Drop me.
Thank you, my dude. I appreciate you. Bye. See ya. Bye. He's right. I mean, again, it was just an interesting conversation. It's the same thing that we see all the time, right? It's literally the same. It's the same argument, not understanding nuance. There was a couple of moments that sort of stood out to me. You know, the debate on the 2A, I kind of like that because a lot of people don't understand history. I reminded people because the argument that the right likes to use, that the reason we're granted the Second Amendment right is so we can rise up against a tyrannical government. which is complete fucking bullshit because you wouldn't have the treason clause in the Constitution, Article 3, Section 2, that says, if you take up arms against the government, you're a traitor. Treason is punishable by, and people are like, well, I'm like, wouldn't you agree that that's a contradiction? And he's like, yeah, that is a contradiction. Philly, I saw you in here. This is for you, bro. And I appreciate your moment of reflection on that. Maybe you didn't know the treason clause. But that's the contradiction, right? So when we talk about these kinds of things, we have to talk about the entire thing because words are irrelevant if you don't understand what they mean. So there's that. All right, I've got some sound here from Kevin Hassett. Don't forget, Kevin Hassett is in the economic office within the White House, also a member of the Heritage Foundation, one of the co-authors of Project 2025. Here's some sound from him. Didn't even know what he has to say here, but here you go.
Doing it. You know, last night I was at a restaurant and I asked every waiter, how much money did you make now that they're doing their taxes because of the no tax on tips? And the average answer, well, the lowest answer was $3,000 last year, and the highest was $10,000. Which
was that for people who were dining there or people who were working there? No, that was the people who were working there.
What?
So all of that is something that's going to feed this momentum in the economy. And while we're feeding that momentum, again, we've got all this foreign investment into the U.S. We just had a groundbreaking in Ohio for a big data center with SoftBank. And so this is really an economy that can't be slowed down.
Again, the fucking gaslight. Give me a goddamn break. This is the same. After Isaac comes up, I'll share my analogy for you. Good morning, Isaac. How you doing, friend?
Good morning. That was insane. Oh my God.
I know.
The things they believe is actually insanity. Like, you have to be insane to believe some of the things like zero inflation, no new wars.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just extremely frustrated with this country right now. As you know, I serve, and I'm struggling to get into the VA to get an MRI. Like, that shouldn't be a thing in 2026. We were progressing better. Like, I got out in 2012, and it wasn't great, but it progressively got better when you fund it and you staff it. And then now when you gut things tend to go to shit. And they're going to shit. So it's just frustrating. So that's all. I appreciate you letting me up. Do you mind if I promote my GoFundMe I have?
Go for it.
Anyone, go like my last 3 videos. You don't have to donate. I'm not asking for donations. Just like, share, comment. I just need a little help right now. All that would be greatly appreciated. Just do the things. I appreciate you guys. Stay safe.
You got it, man. Thank you, Isaac. I appreciate you. Have a good day. Be safe out there. Thank you for your service, brother. Appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
Adrian, I see your comment. 180,000 new jobs created in March, 66,000 projected, inflation down to 4.2%. That wouldn't be inflation, my guy. First of all, that would be unemployment and actually remain flat. Part 2, Adrian, is that they adjusted February's jobs down by 133,000. So why didn't you comment on that, Adrian? And again, 180,000 new jobs created in March. Yes. 66,000 projected. But then you said inflation down to 4.2%. That's wrong because that's not the inflation number. That would be the unemployment number, and it remained flat. Why haven't you then commented on the reduction in jobs from February down, 133,000? So, yeah, you see, context clues are important. So is reading. So good luck with that. Yeah, not a good thing. Not a good thing.
Good morning.
Good morning, bro. Hang on one second. Adrian, you said inflation was down to 4.2%. That's not inflation. Inflation sits at 2.6 to 2.7. We expect that number to go up significantly because of the rise in energy costs. You said inflation was down to 4.2%. You're wrong about that. You also said you forgot a big part of the conversation, which I just mentioned, the revision down from February, down 133,000 jobs. So please go back and research that and then come back with your take. Good morning, my dude. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. Good to see your
Yeah.
handsome face on a Friday.
I'm enjoying the show this morning. It's great. I just wanted to let you guys know I'm starting a new series next Monday of the process of getting a wheelchair. It's going to be like multiple part to it. I'm going to be uploading on TikTok and also on YouTube. I'm just asking for views, for people to come in and write my videos and everything with that kind of thing. So that's what I'm asking. And also, I do need help with the copay with my wheelchair as well. If you guys want to help, kind of help me out with that, my payouts are my bio and everything. I just right now. Last time I've been on your show, you guys raised up to about 500 last time. I just need about $2,000 more, and that would definitely help out regarding to getting into copay.
Friends, if you have it and you can spare a couple dollars here or there, I'll tell you what.
Anything can help. Anything can help.
Yeah. If we can get a $100 donation within the next 5 minutes for our friend Ryan, you let me know and I'll match that. So let's see if we can do here. So you let me know about that. If we can get one, if we can get a total of $100 donation between now and the next 5 minutes or so, total, I will match it. Let me know. Okay.
Okay, I will. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. I mean, this is
Obi's got you. Okay, so you got $200 coming your way. So Obi's got 100. He'll donate, and I will match that. So there's 200. So we're working towards that target for you, sir.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I mean, this is.
You're welcome.
You guys are amazing people. Where to find me is my bio. Go to my bio. There's my payout to Cash App and Venmo. That's what I take.
So that's the spot, friends. Go to the link in his bio. You can donate right there. You got at least $200 coming between myself and Obi. We'll gladly donate to that cause, and we love what you do, man. You use your platform for good. You remind people what it is that we're fighting for. We appreciate you very much, my friend.
I'm going to be doing some video on different topics. I already started about 4 videos right now, so I'm posting them quite a bit now. More on the lines of the disabled community, and I'm trying to focus on that now.
You're doing the work. You are doing the work, my guy. I appreciate you. Keep us posted. Okay. And like I said, friends, if you have a little bit to spare, I know we ask a lot here. We don't ask a lot, but we've been asking a lot more recently. Brian's a good man, and we want to help him as best we can. So thanks for jumping in today, friend, and keep me posted.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You got it. Talk to you later. See you later.
Bye.
There you go. I think I saw a lot of people kind of talking about that. So Adrian, just another reminder. Just want to clarify this with you. 178,000 jobs in March, but February was revised down by 133,000. Adrian. So you haven't discussed that yet. And keep in mind that we have lost jobs under both Trump administrations. So I know facts are hard, but sometimes you just gotta suck it up and move on. And try to find a new way to cope. Because it's not always easy. Good morning, Guy. How are you today?
Good morning. I am doing well. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's up for you today on Free Speech Friday? Now, Guy, you don't always have the best takes in the world. So if you're willing to have a respectful conversation and follow some rules, we can have a conversation.
Okay. I don't recall ever being on your panel, but sure.
Oh, yeah. We've been on panels together.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'd like to, discuss the Iran conflict, if you will.
Sure. You think it's justified?
I think it's beyond justified. I think it is necessary and righteous, to be perfectly honest with you.
Let's go one at a time. Let's go one at a time. It's a war. First of all, it's not a conflict. It's a war. So you think it's justified. So why is it justified?
Well, for a wide array of reasons.
Well, give me one.
First and foremost, the belligerence of the IRGC for decades.
Okay, so then you're talking about since 1979, Death to America?
Beyond words, their actions. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So what happened prior to that?
Prior to that, you had a Shah regime that was in place since 1941 and became supreme
No,
ruler.
not since 1941. That's incorrect. So let's fact check this, shall we? So what was the relationship? What was the relationship like between in the early 50s between the United States and Iran?
So, okay, so I mean, just so you want to fact check it, when do you think the Shah came into power?
I know. I absolutely know. Do you?
Yeah, I'll wager my account to your account.
Oh, you want to wager that? So when did the Shah come into power?
So the Shah was instituted in 1941 by the Brits, okay, as the monarchy of
We're
Iran.
talking the Shah who replaced the duly elected prime minister of Iran.
Yes, he was initially put into place in 1941 alongside of the democracy that they had. But in 1953, when Mossadegh was elected, he wanted to shift to a more Soviet-esque positioning, not to mention nationalizing their oil industry. That is when the United States and Britain had an interest in removing him and then giving ultimate help.
It was a coup d'état, guy. It was a coup d'état. Let's be real.
That's okay. You can call it what you will. I'm just saying that the Shah was there before.
It's not call it what I will. Let's call it what it was. It was a coup d'état initiated by, so again, a democratically elected prime minister elected by the Iranian people. The Iranian people chose that person at that particular time. What was the relationship like between the U.S. and Iran?
In 1953 or prior to?
Prior to.
I don't know the extent of the relationship. I know that BP and Britain.
Then why are you talking about it?
You asked a question.
So you don't know?
Well, I mean, it's not a matter of not knowing. I know that prior to Mossadegh, the Iranian regime under the Shah and the democracy that they had, because the Shah was there since 1941. I know that may be a surprise to you, and I'm sure you fact checked since then.
It's not a surprise. We're talking about two separate things here. We're talking the claim that you made, Guy. The claim that you made was this rhetoric, this anti-American rhetoric started in 1979. Now, we can probably agree on that, but I'm asking you as to why.
Well, the why aspect as to why the mullahs had an anti-American positioning is because of their ideology.
Asking you why. I'm asking you why there's anti-American sentiment. I'm asking you why.
Because of their ideology, because of their belief system.
Really? So you don't think it has anything to do with the United States intervention?
Once again, you think that Mossadegh was fundamentalist?
I'm asking you, Guy. I'm asking you. You don't think it has anything to do with the United States intervention?
No. Islamists weren't loyal to Mossadegh or the democracy. Yeah.
I didn't say that. Did you hear me make that claim, Guy?
You're insinuating it.
Because no, that's not what I insinuated at all. You need to actually listen. Try to listen to learn. Okay. You made the claim because I gave you the date. I gave you the date of a few decades. 1979, the RGC, the kidnapping of American hostages, held 444 days, U.S. Embassy. That's when the sentiment really started to build. There was pro-Western relations prior to the Shah. It was a coup to replace a democratically elected official. The Shah was inserted. The Shah then ruled an authoritarian hand. The Savak, the secret police, suppressing dissent, unaliving citizens. The Iranian people saw that as Western intervention. Sentiment, hatred towards the West built. 1979, the Iranian Revolution, the embassy taken over, U.S. Students captured. And since then is when there's been this anti-Western sentiment. Don't you think that's justified?
Well, you're missing a lot of parts in that storytelling.
I'm not. I'm asking you. Don't you think their hatred? Don't you think their hatred is justified?
No, absolutely not. Again,
you don't.
The mullahs.
It's because you're a cuck. It's because you're a cuck. See, this is what I'm talking about. See, friends, they don't want the guy's a piece of shit. So I just want to let you know. The reality is nobody wants to talk about what happened before. And I find it very, very interesting that people who live in his fucking camp are trying now to justify. You notice he called it a conflict? No, it's a fucking war, you pathetic cuck. It's a war. Okay? It's a war promised. We were not going to be any more wars promised by the current president of the United States. Adrian, you're a coward. Either get in the box or mods will show you the door. You like my nails. You're jealous. The reality, I'll just go through the whole situation. Let's just start from the beginning. I'll do this again, educational purposes only. Before 1953, so Guy, this is for you. The U.S. and Iran were generally friendly with no major conflict. This is from history. This is from Reuters. This is from the Military Times. Hang on one second. Here we go. Prior to 1953, the U.S. and Iran were generally friendly with no major conflicts. Iran was strategically important because of oil and its location near the Soviet Union during the Cold War. 1951 to 1953, oil nationalization crisis. Iran's democratically elected prime minister. By the way, Adrian, they're not purple, they're blue. Democratically elected prime minister. I'll say that again for those of you in the back, Guy. The democratically elected prime minister of Iran, Mossadegh, nationalized Iran's oil industry, angering Britain and the West, Western companies in particular. The CIA, along with British intelligence, then backed a coup to remove the democratically elected prime minister of Iran. Now, I know that you guys don't support free and fair elections because you like to cheat. So you wouldn't know what a democratic election is. The U.S. and Britain orchestrated a coup d'etat to overthrow Mossadegh and restored the Shah to power. Right? The Shah then ruled with strong U.S. support for the next 26 years. The U.S. gained a Cold War ally. Many Iranians saw the coup as foreign interference, creating long-term resentment. During this period, Iran became one of America's strongest allies in the Middle East. Interesting, right, Guy? U.S. provided military aid, economic assistance, and intelligence support. Iran bought large amounts of American weapons and cooperated against Soviet influence. However, the Shah's government was authoritarian. His secret police, known as the Savak, supported by the U.S., suppressed dissent. Many Iranians blame the U.S. for supporting repression. 1979, this is the part that you didn't know. You think you did, but you didn't. You see, here's the thing, Guy. I'm smarter than you. I'm better looking than you. And I'm honest. And you're not. Iranian Revolution overthrew the Shah, 1979. Ayatollah took over, created an Islamic Republic, hostile to the U.S. 1979 to 1981, the hostage crisis. U.S. embassy was stormed, 52 Americans held for 444 days. U.S. broke diplomatic relations with Iran, that permanently transformed relations into open hostility. And then it continues, right? Then it continues. 1980s, the U.S. supported Iraq. Did you know that, Guy? I bet you didn't. The U.S. supported Iraq in their war against Iran. So not only did we intervene, commit crimes, a coup d'etat to overthrow their democratically elected government, right? A hand-picked puppet who led to authoritarian rule for 25 plus years, suppressing dissent. Then, when Iran and Iraq started to go at each other, we supported Iraq. And you wonder why maybe the Iranian citizens might not like the U.S. You wonder why generations of Iranians growing up saying, why the fuck did these guys do this to our country? 1988, U.S. shoots down the Iranian passenger plane, the USS Vincennes, shot down Air Flight 655, killing 290 civilians. 2002, President George W. Bush labeled Iran part of the axis of evil. 2000s, nuclear tensions rise. Iran developed nuclear technology. The U.S. feared Iran was pursuing nuclear weapons. WMDs. 2015, JCPOA, thank you, Barack Obama. Iran agreed to limit its nuclear program in exchange for sanction relief. 2018, U.S. withdrawal from the JCPOA. Fuck you, Donald Trump. U.S. withdrew from the deal and it reimposed sanctions. The Soleimani assassination, the U.S. killed Iranian General Soleimani, dramatically escalating tensions, and here we are. So if you want to have a historical debate, Guy, you better buckle the fuck up, bro, because you don't want to talk about the reality. You don't want to accept the fact that American interventionism led to anger. You think about all the destabilization we've done throughout the Middle East, based on what? Based on what? Complete fucking lies. You are so gullible, you believed back last year during Operation Midnight Hammer that their program was obliterated, and you cheered for it. And then 8 months later, when the president then tells you again that, oh, you know, it wasn't obliterated, you believe that too. And then you come up here and say it's justified? No new wars? Justified? Gas prices going up? Justified? A U.S. fighter jet being shot down? Justified? 13 American lives being lost? Justified? 1,400 civilians? The president now basically advertising and bragging about war crimes? God, you know that it's against international law to target civilian infrastructure? You understand that, right? You understand that? It's against the law. Is that justified too? Is it justified to go after desalination plants, water? Is it justified to go after bridges, civil infrastructure, energy plants? Is that all justified too? You probably think it is, because you're one of the people that I guarantee if I asked you this question, if I asked you to say, hey, guy, you ignorant simp, is food a right? You'd say, no, it's not. And scene. Good morning, Carol. How are you? Hi, Carol. Carol, are you there?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even know I pushed the button. Okay. Sorry.
It's no problem. I got you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. And Emma's right. In girls' schools, and the president tried to say, well, it was an Iranian Tomahawk. And by the way, we know that Tomahawks are either launched from, and Obi can fact check me on this, either subs or surface ships. And the only ones that happened to be in the area at the time were ours. The president told you that it was Iran that had them. We know that's not the case. Was that justified too, Guy? Was it justified U.S. intelligence getting data that it was an IRGC headquarters and they took out a girls' school? Was that justified too, Guy? I hope I sufficiently dragged your pathetic fucking ass. Good morning, Obi, again.
Hey, sorry, there was a stray dog I had to help corral.
It's okay.
I thought we permanently blocked Guy because he's such a piece of shit.
I don't know.
So I muted
him.
Go
back. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, you are correct. What I found most interesting about Guy is he literally helped explain the difference between static thinking and dynamic thinking. You display dynamic thinking because in advance of a conversation, you make sure you have timelines, references, right? He then literally admitted he didn't know anything prior to 1953, but then also in the comments said, the fucking irony, or maybe it was out loud, you're missing a whole bunch of information.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Oh, and I just got another restriction, but I don't care. Whatever,
did,
TikTok.
I have to drop you. Wait 10 minutes to come back up. Wait 10 minutes to come back up. Sorry. Case in point, right? Case in point. You don't have to simp. You just don't have to. You just don't have to simp. It's not a good look to sit up here and be as hardcore and devoted a follower to the president who's done nothing but lie to you. It's done nothing but lie to you. Nothing. And here you sit again, defending it, thinking you can twist history. I'm pretty humble, bro, but I'm a hell of a lot fucking smarter than you are. I can guarantee you that. And here you sit. You don't know your history. You want to skip you want to skip decades of the rise of anti-American sentiment from the Iranian public because of what we did. Plain and fucking simple. We created this mess. We created this problem. You sit on the throne of lies. Yes, thank you, Emma. Exactly. Exactly. It's not necessary, bro. You don't have to do this. You want to use your platform. You're not an ignorant person. You just are in this box. You're either trolling or you just don't care how pathetic you look. Why? You're making a choice. You could say, I can understand why the Iranians citizens might not like us, then you are the believer then that war is then justified. So was it justified for Ukraine to defend itself? I know you would say no. You wouldn't. You wouldn't. Was it justified the United States supported an ally? You would say no, we shouldn't be spending money overseas. And here we sit, Pentagon asking for $500 billion more. And then again, I would ask you if food is a right, and you would say no. So we do have some news. U.S. fighter jet shot down over Iran, U.S. sources say. A U.S. fighter jet has been shot down over Iran. Three U.S. sources have said, confirming an Iranian state media report. U.S. forces have launched search and rescue efforts. The source said potential rescue efforts appear to be captured in video, posted to social media, and geolocated. The state-run Tasnim agency said the search for any missing crew had so far been unsuccessful. Separately on Fars News, an anchor said a reward was being offered for anyone capturing an enemy pilot or pilots. Is that justified, Guy? Is it justified that a member of the U.S. military, there for no reason other than your fucking G.I. Joe wet dreams, loss of life, American men and women being deployed to another endless war? Is that justified? It wasn't immediately clear where in Iran the jet went down. The U.S. military and the White House have not commented on the situation or the status of the pilots. Video geolocated by CNN showed multiple low-flying military aircraft over Khuzestan province in central Iran. In the video, one airplane can be seen flying low over the ground, while two helicopters follow closely behind, a formation that is consistent with an air-to-air refueling operation. The video was taken on a bridge over the Karun River, which is around 470 kilometers south of Tehran. The incident would mark the first time a U.S. aircraft has been shot down over Iran during the conflict. Near the beginning of the war, 3 F-15s were mistakenly shot down in a friendly fire incident by Kuwaiti Air Defense. Is that justified too, Guy? Probably, right? Nice. Hey, bro, how are you?
Good morning, Facts. It's funny they say, why did you bring that up? Well, because you brought up the subject.
Correct.
Oh my God. It's just, I sit here, I have my coffee, I watch. It's been a while since I come up and say hi. Now, for those of you in the chat, what you don't know, Facts is actually only 30 years old. When I met him, he had brown hair before he started talking to MAGA. He had brown hair. He didn't have a stitch of gray hair on him. And here we are.
Yeah.
Anyway,
actually, this is what I look like. When River and I started talking, this is what I actually.
That was before MAGA.
That's funny. That's funny.
Anyway, how's the puppy?
Puppy's good. Puppy puked on the carpet last night, which was super fun. That was awesome. That was so cool. Really enjoyed that. Yeah. Yeah.
Love the puppy. Love the puppy.
Thank you, bro.
I had to come up and say hi, man. To give you a break from all that craziness that they come up and, the I country, I call it the I country. The I country was no danger to us. If anything, they're a danger to the other I country. And then, of course, that I country made Trump a puppet and say, hey, let's go do this. And here we are. So that's as political as I'm going to get this morning. But I had to come up and say hi. And was that really you in that picture? That was you. That was
That's
before
really me,
MAGA.
man.
That was
That's
before
really
MAGA. Yeah, no more. No more.
I'll show it again. That's really me. 15 years old. There you go.
That's
look at
before
that.
MAGA.
Look at that mop. Look at that. I mean, like you could literally
That was only a couple years ago, people. Okay.
Couple years ago. Totally. Couple years ago.
Anyway, I'll let you get back. And I wanted to say hi. Hello, Obi-Wan, if you're still around. A lot of my mutuals are here. I had to come by and say hi. So, love you guys,
I appreciate
man.
you, bro. I love you too, man. Thanks for jumping in today.
Love listening to you, man. Have a good day.
Good to see you again. Take care of yourself. Yeah, love River Bear. Look, we have this clear divide. Thank you, Terry. We have this reason. I mean, we have this, this clear divide. We talk about this shit all the time, right? We talk about it, and it's on full display. You guys know me. I'm happy to talk to anybody, but there's a line, right? There's a line. Like, if you want to talk about history, then let's talk about history. If you want to talk about, why there are certain things, why is there so much anti-Western dissent in that part of the world? Well, people want to talk about, Sharia law. Well, there are states in our country that treat women worse than the country of Iran and other primarily Sharia-run countries. I mean, come on. It's well, okay. Somebody had a request for the dog. I'll show you the dog. Do I have a picture of him here someplace? I think I do. Yeah, here you go. Living his best life. there you go. With the side, notice the side eye. Yeah. Anyway, this all goes into what we discuss often, which is they do something to her, right? How it is that we're promoting our democracy. Now, do we think people like Guy are out there trying to make people's lives better? Really? Do we think people like Guy are out there trying to make a difference in the world, trying to promote the rights of others, trying to expand education access, trying to make sure our society is healthier, trying to make sure that we are regulating capitalism so that the wealth gap doesn't get wider and wider and wider and wider and wider? Nope. Therefore, that's on us. That is on us. Good morning, sir. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. What's on your mind?
I actually came up here for two things. First and foremost, if Erica asks, I was never here. I'm technically supposed to be on break till Tuesday. But
okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Thing number one, I got a message last night from two people who said, "Hey, you want to get in this live? Facts don't matter." It's like one being a bunch of MAGAs. So I'm curious as to what happened.
They weren't taking. Well, they weren't. So we got an invite. So it was RJ, Emma, and myself against three people on the opposition, and the host was the moderator. And then there were some clear rules that were set out in advance, like we couldn't talk over people. We had to cite sources, no insults, and we were abiding by those rules. And from my perspective, being objective, the people on the right weren't necessarily abiding by those rules. So RJ and Emma got kicked about an hour in, and I kind of hung in there for the rest of the time.
Goodness gracious. I was like, what is happening? Because last night was a movie night, so I was watching a movie in my Discord, and I saw the message like, he's got it.
Yeah, it was interesting. Clear divide. I asked the question I asked Heather, the question that I asked Hector, which is like, do you think food is a right? And of course they said no.
Yeah, degenerates, absolute degenerates. I'm sure you cooked them all up, and I hope somebody has the clip. Who recorded it? I want to see it.
I don't know. It's a good question. I think Emma might have, because she does that simulcast kind of thing where she might have. So we'll probably find some clips.
Okay. If we don't have any clips, do better, chat. Okay. When we follow Steve in there, we want recordings of him cooking them up. Second thing.
Thank you, bro.
I believe you mentioned earlier when Donald Trump said the comment about we can't afford childcare, we need more money for military and whatnot. Can you send me that clip? Because literally 2 days ago, I was talking about the executive order passed last year where the administration started doing away with transcripts because they said, oh, people are like maliciously putting in the wrong words and stuff, which is BS. And then they took down a bunch of the president's speeches and only kept up certain ones that made him look good. And now here they go following up with that time and time again. So they're saying they're the most transparent administration ever. But when Donald Trump screws up and says crazy shit, they're taking those things down.
I will send it to you in the Discord.
Oh, much appreciated. Much appreciated. Anyways, before Erica joins, can Guys, make sure you do all the good things in here. Factsstillmatter is an amazing person, okay? You just saw it. He was adorable at 15, and he's fine at whatever fucking age he is now. Need you guys to knock out all the gifts. Please support the Do Something Tour. Links are going to be available in the bio. Tap the screen, send the heart, be shared alive, do all the things, man. And you enjoy your weekend. Happy Friday.
You too, brother. Thanks a lot for being here. I appreciate you very much. Yeah, that's an interesting point that Hector made about how they always claim to be the most transparent presidency administration in history, and I don't see that at all. So let me just take care of this so I don't forget. There's Hector. I'll do that. I'll post this right there. There you go, bro. You're good. Yeah. Anyway, I'm distracted now. All right, I'm back. Thank you, Hector. I appreciate you. And your secret's safe with me. Sorry, Erica. Desert Witch, how are you today?
I am well, Steve. How are you, my friend?
I am fine. Thank you for asking, sir. What's on your mind today?
Well, two things. First, as a vet, I am deeply angered that we have military people in metal boxes with flags again over oil. Like,
Agreed.
We don't learn our lesson. And second, and I wanted you to, I'll drop down to give you time to respond. I just wanted to touch on Hegseth asking for another $200 billion. And we're going to see this about once a month as we continue to spend tens of billions a day. And unless Congress goes forward and actually makes this a WAR and appropriates funding, this is going to be a cost that we see asked for realistically every 30 days. If there's no money for this, they're going to be pulling it from other areas. We're not only getting hurt at the gas pump and going to see higher prices because everything in this country is on a truck at some point. We're going to have to rectify the tens of billions a day. So I just wanted you to give that a spot to kick you off into a different direction.
Yeah, so before you leave, so you may not have heard this, the president has already introduced what he would like for budget priorities in the fiscal year 2027, and that includes a $500 billion Defense Department increase, pushing the budget from $1 trillion to $1.5 trillion at the expense of, like you said, at the expense of social service programs.
I was flabbergasted by that ask, and I said, where are we going to get this money? And you just said it, from every other place. Correct. Yeah, I don't know. And kind of angry and sick to my stomach right now.
I was in this live last night, and that question came up, and the people said that they would rather spend that money on defense than on SNAP benefits. And their argument was, well, it's because of the fraud, the waste, fraud, abuse, and SNAP and Medicaid, Medicare. And I'm like, give me a fucking break. Give me a break. The Defense Department has not passed an audit in 10 years, and they get like a 40% raise, and we're concerned about less than 5% of fraud in Medicaid, Medicare. Give me a break.
As we've seen over the last 10 years, these are diversionary talking points that have no validity behind them. They're just meant to distract away from the real thing. But I'm going to drop down, give you some space. Love you, my friend.
Appreciate you.
It's been years that we've been back and forth, and I appreciate you being out here every single day.
Thank you for
Take care, my friend. I'm going to be in the comments.
You too. Take care. Be safe out there. Yeah, I mean, it's this entire thing to me, you guys, I don't mean to sound like a broken record. It always boils down to the same argument that we have every single day. It's like, what are your priorities? What are the things you care about? I mean, I understand we have to have a Defense Department. I understand we have people who choose that career path, and I fully support that. But at what cost? You know, we've got Pete Hegseth, we got Marco Rubio, we got the President of the United States telling you that we can't afford to fund programs like childcare, daycare, Medicaid, Medicare, healthcare programs so that we can afford another war. You heard High Desert Witch, vet. He's like, I'm sick and fucking tired of seeing flag-draped coffins for the same fucking reasons. Who benefits? We know who benefits. It's not us. What is it that we want as a nation? I want education reform, healthcare reform. I want women's rights to their body protected. I want court reform. I want taxation that benefits us. But I'm radical. Hi, Melissa. How are you today?
Hi. Thanks for letting me come up.
Sure.
I watch your stuff, or sometimes I don't log in, but I watch you sometimes stalkingly. But
thank you.
There is something that I would like to bring up. I have a brain injury, so sometimes I struggle a little bit speaking. Something that I dug into a couple days ago, and it's been really sitting heavy on my mind, and it kind of goes along with. Oh, sorry, my coffee pot might have been loud.
You're good. You're good.
And it might be, and it kind of goes along the line of where they're going to get the money from, right? Where are they going to get this $200 billion? Have you seen what's going on with the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau?
Yeah, it's one of the agencies that Doge identified to cut, right?
Yeah.
And ironically enough, that agency was investigating Elon Musk's company.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I saw a news blip on March 20th, and that's what kind of led me down this 2-day rabbit hole about the CFPB, because I was like, what? You know, that a judge is forcing them to fund the CFPB. February of 2025, Russell Vogt, I don't know how to say his name, put in a request. What is it?
Vought. Russell Vought.
Vought. Okay, thank you. He had put in a request for $0 to fund the CFPB through the rest of the year. And when they passed the big ugly bill, they put a cap. I guess the CFPB.
Listen. Huh? Keep talking. It's fine. I just got to go deal with the dog. He's doing something that I need to address. So keep talking. I'll be right back.
Okay. So in June of 2025, when the big ugly bill passed, they put there was a cap of 12% that the Treasury could give to the CFPB. And in the big ugly bill, they reduced that cap to 6%, but that kind of flew through and like nobody really saw anything. And then I see this article come out in March 20th that forcing them to fund the CFPB. And I was like, what? And he did it unwillingly, and he asked for $145 million to fund. And then he put in a second request to fund the CFPB for $75 million for the third quarter. Now, the CFPB before Trump took over had 5 locations, and Russell has shut 4 of them down. They've terminated the occupant agreement, and even though those agreements were supposed to go to like 2032, so they shut down 4 locations already. And then I saw that on April 1st, the Trump administration is now putting into the judges, they want to get full permission to cut that agency in half. And
yeah,
I started looking a little bit more like, why, right? That's always where my brain goes. I used to be a project manager before my brain injury, and a stock trader. And it's in Project 2025. And it was in the mandate for 2016. And the lady who really, really spurred this, her name is Diane Katz. And she was after the CFPB even before Trump got into office. So they added it. She did a thing into the Heritage. She was part of the Heritage Foundation. She's going after it because they claim that it's big dog regulation. It hurts the banks and that kind of stuff, right? I think you and I know kind of why the CFPB is there. I have a 35-year-old son who has only known life with the CFPB, right? He doesn't remember, when you get a credit card and your interest rate went from 12% to 30% just for some reason, right? Correct. He doesn't remember the gigantic overdraft fees that banks were charging us, right?
Correct.
Like if you went over $5, you would get charged $100, right? And I think the reason why I wanted to come up and talk about this a little bit is because it's just been sticking in my craw. Like, oh my God, they're going to have this. They want to get rid of it. It's part of Project 2025 to completely eliminate the Bureau and then spread it back to the pre-2008 era.
Before the recession.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, right, before the recession. And I know this is something, it's one of those boring things, but it is part of where I think they're cutting the money. Like you said, like Doge was part of it, but it was bigger than Doge. It's been in the Heritage Foundation's eye since before 2016. So they've been after this bureau for a long time. I don't know.
They sure have.
I think they're going to, right. And I think they're going to win on this. And I don't know. I just kind of wanted your thoughts. Like, I feel really bad for like my son who's 35, who doesn't understand that if this bureau goes away, he's looking at his credit card because he doesn't have great credit, because even though mom tried, because she's a financial person, he still blew his credit a little bit, right? And got in some trouble. It
happens to all of us. Yeah, it does happen.
Yeah, I love my kid. I mean, he's done a good job. But
you bring up a couple of interesting points. So we talk about what the CBP does, the Consumer Fraud Protection Bureau. They regulate banks, credit card companies, mortgage lenders, payday lenders, and debt collectors. And they, I saw some recent data here that over the last prior to the Trump administration, during that 5-year period, they recovered nearly $13 billion for consumers.
Yeah.
From these predatory lenders. Examples like you just described, hidden increases in interest rates, bank fees, junk
bad
fees,
mortgages.
All kinds of bad mortgages. Exactly. So they recovered. Friends, I think it's important. People like Guy, people on the right feel like Doge was justified. They returned $12 billion to consumers. Not only is it an agency that certainly paid for itself without question, but they're there to protect consumers. It's literally in their name, the Consumer Fraud Protection Bureau. Why do we cut it? Yes, Elon Musk was being investigated. I think it was either for Starlink or for Tesla, maybe both, about how he was violating the rules. And we cut that, and somebody feels like that's an interest. That's a good use of our money. No. Nope.
Yeah.
But you're right. It is one of those things that we have to be mindful of. All these areas of the government that return money to consumers, and now what are we doing? Increasing the budget for defense at the expense of the middle class once again. But thanks for jumping in today, Melissa.
Yeah,
I appreciate you very much.
Thank you for letting me get that off my chest.
You got it. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. It's crazy. CFPB has returned billions to consumers through enforcement actions, illegal credit card fees refunded, mortgage overcharges corrected, predatory lending penalties paid back to borrowers. People often get money back they don't even know that they were owed, because behind the scenes, companies like the CFPB is doing that. Prior to all these kinds of things, when we talk about regulations, this is what happens when you don't regulate industries. Right? This is what happens when you're not looking out for consumers. So what happens when you don't pass legislation to regulate capitalism, right? This is what happens. Why would you want to remove an agency that protects consumers? Why? There's no argument there. That came from Doge, USAID, and the CFPB. People just don't understand.
Hi, brother.
Hi, Jackson. How are you?
5 minutes.
I got you. No problem. I got you. If you guys have some coins you want to support our friend Jackson, please consider doing so. I'll bring Obi back up. I think he had something he wanted to say.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome back.
How are you?
I'm fantastic.
Yeah. It's good to see you. You are looking good. You know what's really ironic is before I knew you, I also had dark hair.
Wait. I'm sorry. Well, I got to bring it back again. If that's the case, if we're gonna do this, if we're gonna talk, how can you possibly talk smack about that handsome kid? Look at that guy. I mean, in my high school yearbook, when I was a senior in the program listed for football, I was listed at 6 feet 135.
Dude,
with that hair, if you flip me over, I could be like a scrub brush.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's flipping hilarious.
I know, right?
I love the 80s haircut, by the way.
Totally. Yeah. Part of the middle feathered. Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you for a faucet.
Totally. Yeah. Anyway, we'll move on from that picture now, but thank you.
Still looking for the picture of me and the chaps.
I I have that in here somewhere, but I need time to.
Yeah.
I need time to plan for that one. I need time to forewarn the audience, because there'll be a lot of moisture in the chat if I bust out that picture. I'm just going to leave that right there.
Mm-hmm. 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 You had asked, you had said my name and then asked a question about Tomahawk. You were correct. Surface warfare ships, and never going to be replaced. Who's going to leave until the 4 years is up, right?
I would agree.
And he's going to say, Pete, who in the Proud Boys can we get to do this job? Right? Like, let's make sure that, like, what job can we get your pastor to have? How can we give your pastor some money and have your pastor be an advisor and sit on a board, as we have to promote people in the military? And let's let your pastor. Now, if you don't think these things already happen, I hate to tell you, I guarantee you the reason why persons weren't awarded their star wasn't just Pete. That Pete does have somebody like his pastor who is literally guiding him vis-a-vis Christian nationalist fundamentalist issues, right? And through that lens, Pete makes his own decisions. Why? Pete is a static thinker. Do you know what a pathetic soldier you have to be kicked out of the reserves? You literally could be in the reserves and just show up and do your thing and collect a nice pension, and get some good bennies just by literally showing up and doing your job. It's not hard, right?
Since you brought up Pete Hegseth and his advisors,
yes,
I'm gonna play some sound for you right now from this is Joshua Hames. He is a spiritual advisor to Pete Hegseth. So trigger warnings.
The institution of slavery is not inherently evil. I know. Some of you guys are upset by that. Some of you guys are saying, I've been saying that for years. Okay, I'll take it a step further. It is not inherently evil to own another human being.
That guy.
Yeah.
That guy is one of Pete Hegseth's spiritual advisors and close allies and advisors in general. So yeah, that guy.
Yeah. And this is what we're left with, right? Mm-hmm. Is that, well, first of all, I honestly don't believe that Donald knows what day it is, let alone what time it is, right? I think
agreed.
I think and listen, I don't wish that on any human being to go through a point in your life where your energy center, your brain is just like failing. I don't want to wish that on anyone. But I do wish we would spend some of the billions of dollars that we give to the military industrial complex to solving that scientific mystery.
Yeah.
Right?
No doubt. Right.
And I think this is some of the stuff that even when you try to talk to MAGA about stuff like this, they won't get that. And so when I get angry and upset at MAGA, it's because no matter what anyone does, there can be no moral or human value found in the way they talk. They are so lost in this world that there's no way back for them. And I mean this. I am 10 toes down on this. Not only will I never forgive them or welcome them back into polite society, we talk about Sir Karl Popper all the time. I'm not required to be tolerant of the intolerant because I don't want to lose tolerance. Right? I can be tolerant of somebody who doesn't know something or says something stupid but wants to grow through it. I'm tolerant of that. Sure, of course, because we're human. We make mistakes. But the Pete Hegseths of the world, the guys of the world, the pasta person last night of the world, these are persons that are beyond our help. They are incapable of seeing human beings as human beings. They cannot get out of their own way. And they're so angry because they all peaked in middle school as white men. And they believe that their lack of success in life when comparing themselves to a 34-time convicted felon must be the reason why all of the, as they like to say, illegal people have come to take their jobs. Just a little reminder, MAGA. Migration and immigration are legal processes. You cannot be an illegal person. No matter what you do, there's a legal process. Is the legal process broken? Of course it is. It was written in 1952, passed in 1954, and not a single political party has ever done anything about it. It is not the fault of the people that are coming here to do work and looking for a better life. It is our fault because for over 140 years, we have meddled in politics. Iran is a prime example of meddling in politics.
The entire
What
Middle East,
happened,
for that matter.
well, the entire Middle East. What happened is that the English, who consistently don't get blamed, but Iran is specifically the fault of the crown, 100%.
Agreed.
We are second in line. We're not that far away, right? BP didn't want to have to give people's natural resources back. Now, I want you to think about the parallel here. This is what I wanted to come up and originally talk about. You had a solicitor general that wasn't sure if native persons born here before the United States was the United States, that they would even be considered citizens. Well, we know they are because there are treaties that actually supersede the U.S. Constitution that guarantee them citizenship. We also know that treaties are constantly broken, right? And why are treaties constantly broken? Here's the parallel, people. All this country has done since its founding is strip natural resources and wealth from persons they want to other because somebody in Portugal in the 1400s decided to use the term white. And then, like a bunch of lemmings, the vast majority of persons on this planet continue to believe that white is a race. There's one race on this entire planet, Homo sapiens sapien. It's the only race that exists for man in quotes. There are differing languages, differing religions, differing ethnicities. But every time somebody talks about color spectrum as race, you're literally part of the problem. And I know everybody does it, right? But we have to stop doing things like this. We have to stop allowing the right and MAGA to do what colonialism has been doing since the dawn of time. We are the reason why the religious people in Iran hate us. We tried to steal their oil. We tried to steal their wealth.
Correct.
Right? There are reasons why there are native tribes and indigenous people throughout the world who are fighting governments because they want their natural resources back. They want their wealth back. They're willing to ignore as best they can everything else. Just give them what is theirs, right?
But in the mind of certain people, it's all justified because people don't understand their history.
Right.
I always appreciate your perspective on these things because you look at things from so many different angles. I know you were out on your walk today, and I know you got a little clapping, but I just wanted to thank you for jumping back in, bro, and having this conversation with us because it's important. We have to remind people what's at stake. I love you more.
Yes, and also if you don't get violated on this app, try harder.
Okay, fair enough. Talk to you later. All right, bye.
Peace.
See you, man. Hey now. Hey, it's Friday. Let your freak flag fly. I'm down. I want to kind of, since it is Free Speech Friday, it is also Good Friday. There's a couple of things that Jess, I saw you. I know you'll be punching your ticket. You're looking for your BOGO, whatever it takes. Anyway, I can't resist. So Paula White Cain, we've talked about her before. Since it is Free Speech Friday and Good Friday, I think it's necessary to remind people who we have employed in the White House. Paula White Cain sits like doors down from the Oval Office, and she was in a I don't know what you call it. I'll just play the sound for you. Hang on a second. She's standing shoulder to shoulder with the president, and this is Paula White Cain.
And arrested and falsely accused. It's a familiar pattern that our Lord and Savior showed us.
And with Trump there, which is one of those rare moments in Earth history where you have someone who's not a politician, you almost got a prophet in office.
On Palm Sunday, Jesus entered Jerusalem as crowds welcomed him with praise, honoring him as king. They call me king now. Do you believe it?
President Trump is a gift from God. He is an answer to prayer.
President, we pray for your continued blessing and favor to rest upon you.
The thing that I have always struggled with this blind false prophet devotion that people on the right, I know it's pretty bad, right? Is just that, the false prophet blind devotion. Yeah. Paula White Cain has been shunned by her own community. Paula White Cain, even after taking the position in the White House as faith advisor, has been selling prayers. Literally has a website where people can go and they can send their hard-earned money that they don't have because of the Trump economy, right? Anyway, I don't know if this is necessarily good news, but I think it's something I wanted to share yesterday with you guys. It's kind of an interesting story. See where I can find this. Okay, this is reported by the New York Times, right? So they're talking about the CPAC convention, and the title of the story is, "I think that MAGA is dying inside the youth movement at CPAC," at a sparsely attended conservative political action conference, CPAC. Young Republicans were eager to start the post-Trump era. Two things in play here. Remember, there was that series of text messages and communications that were released a while back from Republican staffers, not people who are going to be the next generation of Republican leaders, but people who already are in leadership positions. And they were sharing Nazi rhetoric, and they were sharing anti-Semitism, and they were being flat out fucking racist. So we have to take that with a bit of a grain of salt, or that's probably not the correct reference, but we have to understand that's what's happening while I share this story with you. As the first day of the Conservative Political Action Conference wound to a close, the audience inside the airplane hangar-sized ballroom had dwindled as Nick Shirley, 23-year-old content creator and recently minted right-wing celebrity, had been tapped by the conference's organizers to bring a youthful jolt of energy to the proceedings. But youths themselves, or the two youths themselves, and their conservative energy were nowhere to be seen among the rows of empty chairs as Mr. Shirley made halting references to Teddy Roosevelt's Man in the Arena speech. just outside the hall, 20-somethings in rumpled suits were gathered in clusters, debating the merits of a ground invasion in Iran, the conservative backlash against those who were J-pilled, far-right slang for skepticism of Israeli influence, the backbreaking cost of American life, and what they saw as the slow demise of the Trump era. Quote, the majority of us, again, this 20-something crowd, the majority of us, we don't necessarily come to these types of events for the speakers because generally they dish out the same slop over and over, said Jack Moore, 19, a board member of the Georgia Teen Republicans. They had come hoping to briefly escape the politics of their social media feeds and interact directly with the conservative apparatus at this year's conference, once a marquee event on the conservative calendar. Last year's meeting struck a triumphant tone as Elon cranked a chrome chainsaw on stage, and President Trump gleefully recounted the tale of his political comeback. But for the past several years, a younger crowd has declared the event passé. At the 4-day conference in Grapevine, Texas, last week, young conservatives willing to take a gamble on this gathering found themselves marooned in a listless and, with the exception of Mr. Shirley, older gathering of Trump loyalists. MAGA B-listers who preferred to avoid the white-hot debates about the future of the party. These speakers largely stuck to a tame script, sounding their support for the president's war in Iran, whipping up culture war reactions over things like Sharia law, and denouncing the infighting being stirred up by high-profile figures in the MAGA movement. Even Stephen K. Bannon, the former Trump advisor, known for his fiery attacks against fellow conservatives, alluded only obliquely to the glaring issues hanging over the conference. In a short speech on Thursday, Mr. Bannon downplayed Trump's abandonment of his No New Wars campaign pledge and the conference's low-wattage conservative lineup, which most noticeably was missing Mr. Trump. Quote, yes, there are many great people who couldn't make it, Mr. Bannon said. They either didn't want to come or they're tied up running wars and looking after the country. It doesn't matter. You came. This is the power of this moment. The story goes on, but there's a couple of points that I wanted to highlight. There is a divide between the young and the old in the party, said Aiden Hoffs, 19, who traveled from Maine to attend his first conference. We keep hearing these talking points that we're all united and in the same movement. That couldn't be further from the truth. I feel like I have closer views with liberals than more conservatives at this point. That quote again, these are the future leaders within their conservative movement in America that go to CPAC. CPAC used to be the preeminent event, now being replaced by the Turning Point USA events. We keep hearing these talking points that we're all united and in the same movement. That couldn't be further from the truth. I feel like I have closer views with liberals more than conservatives at this point. I read that and thinking, the fucking do something to her. How do we get in front of these people? Remember how this week I've referenced what I refer to as counter-programming, right? The counter-programming to capture that moment. Here is someone who's like, what the fuck are these old white men talking about? What the fuck? Maybe I should listen to what the liberals have to say because they're more aligned. They don't want us to continue to go to war. They want us to have affordable housing. They don't want our taxation to continue to drive the wealth gap and make it wider and wider. Maybe I should listen to them more. And here's a group of people who came to their first CPAC event, and this guy says, I find myself having closer views with liberals. Those views, Mr. Hoffs noted, revolved around issues such as education and healthcare. Quote, it's not fair for someone to graduate college and have $100,000 in debt. We're sending billions of dollars to other countries. Why can't we help our own people? As he avoided the scheduled events and dodged the throngs of older conservatives in the MAGA-themed regalia, Mr. Hoffs had met some fellow disillusioned peers along the way. One of them was Joshua Bollock, an Army veteran wearing a bright blue America First hat. A loud symbol in the conservative spaces that one is a supporter of Nick Fuentes, the 27-year-old white nationalist known for making racist and anti-Semitic remarks. Mr. Bullock, 30, said this, it's very cultish here. It seems like boomers are just on this Trump train for no reason. After talking with other young attendees at the conference, Mr. Hofstas said most appeared to be aligned with Mr. Fuentes, who has become a pariah within the conservative movement for, among other reasons, his recent declaration that young conservatives should express their displeasure with Mr. Trump's military strikes on Iran by voting for Democrats. Quote, I'd say at least 60% of the young people here are fans of Nick. The subject of the war in Iran, a source of consternation for many young people in the crowd, was engaged with lightly on the main stage and otherwise relegated to the exhibition hall. Matt Gaetz, who is apparently into hybrid alien relationships, if you know, you know. Matt Gaetz, a former congressman from Florida, offered one of the loudest moments of dissent with Mr. Trump in the event's official proceedings. Quote, this is fucking crazy shit. A ground invasion of Iran will make our country poorer and less safe, said Mr. Gaetz, who is now the host of a nightly show on the conservative One America Network. Quote, it will mean higher gas prices, yes. Higher food prices, yes. And I'm not sure if we would end up killing more terrorists than we would create. The speech, though, drew a muted response from the crowd, and some remained frustrated. Quote, those conversations are just not happening here, said Samantha Castle, a 27-year-old Republican strategist. She was wearing a Fishback for Florida hat in support of the rage-baiting Florida candidate for governor, who has energized a coalition of young voters in the state. There's no serious discussions going on. It's just flat. I've gone to a lot of these events, the RNC, the DNC, and this is probably the worst one I've ever been to. Some on the far right, within this generational division, an opportunity to claim a young cohort looking for an outlet. Joel Webbin, an online influencer who promotes a brand of nationalism infused with Christianity, wrote that this attendance at the CPAC last week revealed one major finding. The youth are ours, he wrote on X. I'm not saying there's good news here. I'm just saying this is the end of MAGA. How it exists in the future is TBD. Elijah Schaefer, a far-right commentator who could be seen roaming the halls at CPAC on Friday in an all-black suit, wrote on X, quote, CPAC 2026 has given me hope for the American youth. Every young man and woman here are all radicalized, whatever that means. Among the young Republicans, there were cases of people expressing forms of cautious optimism about the coming midterms and tentative support for the president's abrupt choice to attack Iran, but those views were expressed for the most part by attendees with professional aspirations in GOP circles. So, interesting, right? That this clear divide, the age divide within MAGA, as they talked about the white-haired boomer white men predominantly, right? The Matt Schlapps of the world, the people that are leading this push. And then you've got the younger generation, the turning point influence generation. Yes, the red pill generation, but Nick Fuentes has a stranglehold on a lot of those voters. You know, Nick Fuentes, who's basically told the president to fuck off. That group of people, that crowd. So it's dangerous for sure, but it's a massive fracture within MAGA, and we're seeing it in polling, right? We're seeing it in polling. We saw the inroads the president made with the youth vote. We saw the inroads the president made with black voters, primarily black men. We saw the inroads that he made with some college-educated individuals. Well, all those gains are fucking gone because he just lied to people. And I don't know, there is no next for MAGA. This is it. It's the death rattle. So we need to get ready. Hi, Lori. How are you?
Hi,
Lori?
Steve.
Hi.
A couple of, I have never been on before. And anyways, a couple of things, that lunch, I think it was the lunch before when he did the speech to the nation. And you had mentioned a couple of things in there, but he started to speak about Charlie Kirk, and then he turned to Erica Kirk. But the way he said it, it was like he started to say Charlie, and then he remembered something, and then he turned to Erica, and then said weirdly about her turning on him. I don't know if you heard that whole speech. I thought that was just too weird, because it's like, why would he say that? So it's like, maybe did Charlie realize something, and then that he started turning, and that's why all this happened? That's one thing. And then the other, let's see, the other one that I wanted to ask about, basically, the the Doge thing when they were supposed to be finding the fraud, and then they went in there and got all that sensitive information on us.
Correct.
So now they know all the, the elites, the people who make money and what they do. And they also know the disabled, the lower class, the poorer people. And I just couldn't help to be reminded about, the 1940s when, the H guy started to go after wanted to get rid of certain people. And then he kept like the doctors and scientists and the people that were going to do good for him. And then also the lower people would be good experiments and, just basically to starve them out, but anyway, that was another side thought, that I thought about. I don't know. Let's see. So
it's a really good point, because he says basically if I lose Erica Kirk, then that would be really bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why he just why that was just so weird. Okay, I mean, weird. And then I really have a problem with the way that they always they think that they have the right to tell anybody who doesn't think like them, think or believe what they believe, to make them, tell them or make them believe what they believe in our country, and other countries, which is amazing, so that turns me off and makes me disgusted, because with nothing else, we all should be able to believe what we want, whether it's right or wrong or whatever, and then we should always be trying to get facts out, So I just had a few of those things. So anyways.
Well, for jumping in. It's a great perspective. Have a good day. And,
thank you so
much
much
for joining us today. You got it. Thanks a lot for being here. Real quick, let me just check a couple of things here, friends. Let me make sure I'm trying to thank everybody. I think I've gotten most people, but maybe not. Let me check here. Want to thank Will. Thank you very much for your kind donation. Appreciate that. Supporting the Do Something Tour and all that you do. Thank you, Will. I appreciate that very much. Also, thank you to Barb. Barb says, do something with some cool graphics. I appreciate that. Thank you, Barb. Appreciate you very much. Also to Cassie. Thank you, Cassie, for your kindness. Good luck on the tour. If you make it to Arizona, love to sit and talk with you about my story and my son's story. Thank you for being you every day without apologies. Thank you for saying that, Cassie. It's the least I can do, and it's what I owe you guys. You're kind enough to support me every day, and this is me, and this is who I am. Laverne, thank you very, very much. I appreciate you too. Let me just adjust this. We just went over $9,200, friends. Thank you for that. 205. Doing maths in my head, Obi, just for you. All right, got a few more people in the box. We'll probably just finish out this morning with our guests, and then we will, depending if we have any time left, we're going to wrap at noon. Good morning, my friend. I'm sorry I couldn't bring you up yesterday, Shane. I had to end, but I'm glad you're here.
No, that's okay, because actually today touched on the subject that I wanted to talk about yesterday a little bit better.
Okay.
So, in particular, one of the things that's actually come up in a lot of debates, as you know, we both, combat misinformation, disinformation, and MAGA spaces, is that they're still stuck on the rhetoric that the president controls decisions ultimately. And one of the things that we have to talk about with a lot of people is the fact that they don't understand the majority minority positions of parties in the House. When people say, oh, the Democrats are just sitting on their hands. Well, if they're the minority party, they can be as loud as they want in committees, but if they have no majority vote power, they can't really push legislation other than being loud in a committee. Or
with the exception of discharge petitions, but you're right.
I mean, they have the decorum process, and but other than that, they can delay.
The only mechanism they would have would be a discharge petition, which would then require them to get across the aisle votes. The Epstein Transparency Act was a discharge petition.
Exactly.
But you're right. For the most part, they have very few levers that they can pull.
So the push that's happening right now with Republicans and MAGA talking about if we don't get the majority, if we lose the House, is they are through Project 2025, through their EO actions of Donald Trump, through the court actions and all of this other stuff, it's forced attrition. They want to break the system so bad that their opponents are forced with one of two choices. either suffer or conform. And that's what you MAGA don't realize, is the conformity is far worse than standing with us and fighting for legislation that actually fixes the system. And you guys think,
Well, yeah,
but MAGA
go ahead,
thinks,
'cause I'm gonna add some context when you're done. But go ahead.
MAGA thinks that because they're winning, quote unquote, winning, that they are going to win. And the forced attrition is going to happen to everybody. And that's why some of your MAGA friends are starting to wake up, is because they're feeling that forced attrition. Donald Trump isn't just hurting his opponents anymore. He's now starting to hurt his supporters. And it started on day one.
He's always been, you're right, he's always been hurting his supporters. They're finally starting to realize it, I think, a little bit more. But part of what you said, I think, is interesting, and it probably doesn't get talked about enough because, you know, you have a big brain, Shane, so I appreciate that. But one of the agenda items connected to Project 2025 is the privatization of so many government agencies. So you are able to, when you underfund programs, when you dismantle organizations, then you can go back and say, this doesn't work. You see, government doesn't work. We need to put government responsibilities in the hands of the private sector, and thus privatizing everything. So there is a plan here. It's not just rip it apart. It's not just underfund it. It's not just cut, Schedule F employees and the, bureaucrats, they like to call them. It's so that they can privatize things.
So a good example.
That should scare all of us.
So a good example of that, Steve, is the VA. One of the examples that the Republicans consistently use in order to justify the non-solidification of universal health care is look at the VA. They have universal health care. We give our veterans universal health care, and look how horrible it is. But yet, if you look at the legislation that actually hampers the Veterans Affairs Office and their benefit system, it is all Republican legislation that undermines it, hampers it, disenfranchises it, devalues it, defunds it. Everything is a Republican piece of legislation or amendment that harms us.
Correct.
And that's what we start. I have actually started purposefully not riding Trump, not pointing out Trump's faults, pointing out legislative faults. I'm starting to break down actual policies and pointing out the Republican amendments in legislation that the Republicans don't like about the legislation. So when they bring up faults about the ACA, I point out the amendments in the ACA that the Republicans wrote that created those faults. When they talk about tax policy, I point out the Republican amendments that created the faults in the tax policy. We need, I believe, and I have seen it actually start to work, is that. Pushing the policy.
Yeah,
but I don't
agree.
I don't know.
That's part. Well, that's part of the push on do something to her. Like, I'm going to try to approach it as agnostically, if that's a word, as possible. Because the goal here is I want people to vote. I want to remind people what is happening, like how the government functions. The example, like what are people doing to support the things that you care about, and then I don't want to turn it into the blame game. I want to educate people.
Exactly.
So
That's why
when you've got 90 million people who have not participated, and then you've got moderates sitting here and there on both sides of the aisle, because there are moderate conservatives or Republicans or moderate Democrats. As far as I'm concerned, they're part of the problem. You're either a progressive or a conservative, right? It's reminding them, to your point, what the policies are doing to you. Did you know you were voting for that? Did you know you're voting against your family? Did you know you're voting against your sister, your wife, your daughter? That kind of shit.
Veterans.
That's an effective.
Everybody.
Veterans, the disabled community, everybody. You're exactly right. That's effective messaging, I think.
I've actually, and the reason why I started to do this recently was because one night I got into a debate with a gentleman about the ACA and how horrible the ACA was. And I said, have you ever read the ACA? And he goes, why should I? I know what it does. And I said, well, if you read the ACA and looked at the amendments, you would know who it was that wrote the amendments that caused you to dislike the ACA. And after I broke it down with him, We sat there for an hour and a half, and I broke down the ACA, and I showed him the amendments that he didn't like. And he was like, I voted for that son of a bitch. I was like, yeah, you voted for the guy that put a fine on you.
Correct.
And at the end of the conversation, I said, what are you going to do? And he goes, I'm definitely not voting Republican. So if I got one, I got one.
Well, it takes one at a time. Again, the margins are so fucking narrow. Keep that in mind. Thanks for jumping in today, bro. I appreciate you. Keep doing the good work. You're a good man. Thanks a lot, Shane. See you later.
Yep.
That's part of it, right? That's part of it. A few more guests. Again, we'll go till noon today, friends. Then a little capitalism for Friday, but it's all good. Hi, Liz. How are you today?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to mention something, and this is just food for thought for MAGA listening. I know we all know what's going on, but anyone listening, just something interesting. Last week, I went to the Orlando No Kings, and after that, I was talking to my friend's daughter. She's 12. She's in the 6th grade, and she was just saying how angry she is that Trump's our president. And I'm like, well, what makes you angry? Like, what information is she getting at 12 years old to have a point of reference? And she was saying how it has changed everything at her school, how the racism is affecting her, how just kids are just being mean and being bullies. There are children in the school that are saying they're going to call ICE on other kids and threatening them and their families. And it's really upsetting to her. And it's just something that we have to think of too, is what we're leaving behind for the next generation and how it's impacting them. Because that's something how do you get rid of that? Once the damage is done, this is the president that these kids are growing up with, and this is what their point of reference of what they know. They don't have a Biden. They don't have, Obama to look up to see how a real president should act and conduct themselves. Just generally in speaking as human beings, as a leader should lead and lead by example. And it's really affecting me knowing that this is what's happening to the kids and the youth. And I think it's conversations that need to be held with the kids. So
I agree. I agree. Their influences, you're right. They're the manosphere influences, right? Sorry, I got distracted. The manosphere influence, the red pill influence, that community, the men's rights activists, that whole crowd, they have a very loud, influential voice over that age group. And again, I'll bring it up again, counter programming. What's the counter programming? I'd like to think it's conversations like we have here, because you're right. Young men, where are their examples? Like I don't. Like, role models should not be celebrities. You could admire somebody, but they shouldn't be role models. Right. Who are those leaders? Who are those people that are inspiring young men, right? Because by and large, that's where the problem starts. It was good to read, when I read that story from the New York Times about CPAC, about how the young men were there, they're like, this is a joke. These guys are freaking old. They don't give a shit about us. So a lot of them saying, I align more with liberals because they believe the things that I believe. I don't believe those things. Well, I can see it. So it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean we should feel safe with the influence of Nick Fuentes, because he's a bona fide anti-Semite fucking whack job. But there is a fracture within MAGA. So if you break down those buckets, then potentially you've got an opportunity for progressives to lead. Because I think young people by and large are progressive. They care about a lot of the same things that we care about. We just have to package it better.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
Thank you, Lizzie. I appreciate you very much. Yes,
before I hop down real quick, are you planning on coming to Orlando?
I am planning on going as far as I can go in 2 months. So the plan would be to circle the country, start in the Northeast, and then work our way around. So if there's an event in Orlando that we can schedule, that's part of the push that we're trying to put the organization pieces together. I will likely go to. It's a great question. I'm glad you asked. Let me summarize. In general, where I want to go to are a lot of states that are going to be in play for the election. So I think we've got Arizona, we've got that part of the world, we've got Texas, obviously, we've got some of the Gulf states, because I do believe that there's opportunities there, just because we've seen some of the margins in these Trump-specific districts. Florida, absolutely. Up the coast, North Carolina. I'll eventually end up in D.C. So I'm going to work the center of the country a lot because I think there's a lot of opportunities there. I will absolutely be in Texas. I will absolutely be in Florida. I just don't know what part of Florida, depending on the schedule.
Awesome. All right. Well, hopefully we'll see you in Florida. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Liz. I appreciate you thank you very much. Have a good day. Be safe out there. Yeah, we're working on putting the schedule together. We're working on putting the schedule together, and these conversations are so important. And I appreciate everybody for supporting what we do. You've got a proud moment you want to share. What's on your mind?
Oh, gosh, Steve, thanks so much for letting me come up. My daughter had her birthday on Wednesday. She just turned 20. She is a student at a university, and on Tuesday night, she won the Spirit of Community Award for her entire university. So, yeah, she was recognized for consistently bringing encouragement, kindness, and enthusiasm to her affinity group and for creating space where others feel supported and uplifted. And my daughter is physically exceptional. She has a condition that causes chronic pain, and she uses a wheelchair and walking sticks. She has been out and about, at all the protests that we go to. So I just wanted to share, I know Lizzie was talking about how, kids in schools are really feeling this, but this is one where I just so wanted to share something really positive.
I think that's great. We need more conversations like this. Congratulations to your daughter. Congratulations to you for being a good role model. This is the shit.
She's just an exceptional person. I could not be more proud. And, of all the awards out there, I told her, I'm like, this award to me makes me the most proud of her. With all the other accolades she's received, she's actually done some really unbelievable things. She works for Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution. She's the youngest person ever to be out on one of their excursions out in the Pacific Ocean, where she actually helped build ocean bottom seismographs, which register, It's like an underwater Richter scale. And awesome. Yep, she has the highest OSHA training of all of the people in her team, and they're all in their 30s and 40s. She was 17 at the time, But an award for kindness and inclusivity is just top of the mountain.
Congratulations to you. Take your flowers. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
You too. Thanks a lot for being here. I appreciate that. Those stories, guys, this is what we're fighting for, right? A reminder of what's at stake and how it is, how important it is to do something for people without asking for the praise, without asking for recognition, just doing it. Hi, Carol. How are you?
Good, Steve. I'm back, and this time I really did request. But
I got you.
Anyway, I am a boomer, and this is so hard to watch. Decades of war and not helping our people, and to watch it over again I'm so angry. I'm angry at people that won't educate themselves. I mean, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I know what's going on, and I know that everyone on this planet is a human being, and it's just so hard. How do we battle the propaganda? I'm sick of being demonized by this regime, that we are the problem. We are not the problem. I worked for the Department of Welfare for 35 years, and I forgot where I was going with this, but I know what it was. I've watched the government subsidize Walmart because they can't pay a living wage. Exactly. We are, Democrats are not the enemy. We are not the problem. And to watch people vote against their own interests over and over and over, I'm just so tired and exhausted. I'm at the end of my life. And to just have to deal with this right now is overwhelming. And thank you for what you do. And everybody on the panel just said some wonderful things. Obi, so well said. And that's it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Carol. I appreciate you. We're out there fighting. Appreciate being here. Have a good day. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the whole point, right? I mean, we have to remind each other that, you know, in that intro, the promotional speech that I wrote, spent a lot of time on that, and it just reminded me in particular, like when good people stop showing up, bad people fill the space. And there has I have convinced myself I couldn't do this every single day if I didn't believe that. Like if I didn't believe that there are more good people, you know, than there are bad people. I believe that in general, I give, you know, I am Pollyanna. My mother used to call me that. Like no matter the circumstance, I will always try to find something positive from it. That's good and bad. You know, it's got me through life, but there's opportunities here to remind folks what it is that should be important. It doesn't always have to be on the political spectrum, but to get the things that we want, right? We have to vote differently. We have to think differently. We have to listen to Black women in particular, how to move through society differently. You know, we can't, this is the first time that I can recall in my lifetime that white people are being suppressed in our society. And how white people react to this is going to be very telling. Are you going to take the bait? Are you going to take the bait and then you know, then expect martial law or expect more suppression? Keep in mind that our Black brothers and sisters know full well what they were going to get. When they were going to protest, they knew they were going to be beaten up. They knew they were going to be arrested. They knew they were going to be killed. And they did it anyway. They did it anyway. They didn't take the bait. They went and they did it. I think the Montgomery bus strike was 14 months, something to that effect, before change happened. Patience, right? Patience, discipline. I like this analogy that I came up with in my head about how Trump and the Christian nationalists in charge of our government grabbed a fine piece of china off the wall, right? Fine piece of china. It took them a second to grab it and smash it into 1,000 pieces. That plate is our democracy and our democratic institutions. I think what the left wants is to be able to fix that plate as quickly as it was broken. We can't. They've invested for the long term. They are in this, they've invested for 50 fucking years. It goes back to patience and perseverance. Exactly, Brooke. Patience and perseverance. It goes back 50 years. Start with Roe. Start with the rise of the Heritage Foundation, rise of Christian nationalism, rise of evangelical Christians infiltrating government. Ronald Reagan gave them their foot in the door, and Trump opened it up. So how we respond to this is going to be very, very telling. Very telling, because the expectation, at least from my perspective, is they don't believe that we will respond. They're counting on American apathy. They're counting on the entitlement of the American citizen. I don't want to be bothered. They'll count on, yeah, you might buy a flag, you might hang something in your yard, you might go to a school board meeting, but that's it. So, like I said before, Queens, they are so fucking terrified of you. So lead. You do already in everyday life. Become leaders. Become loud voices in civic discourse. Become a community organizer. All these kinds of things, because they don't think that we'll do it. That's what Do Something's about to me. Thank you all for being here today. Appreciate it. Great week of shows. Thank you for Free Speech Friday. We're going to go raid our friend Olive. Tell her we said hello. I'll do a last minute plug for the Do Something tour. If you want to support what we're doing, best way to do that is Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. Links are in my bio. Mods, you guys are the fucking best. You keep me sane. I appreciate you all very, very much. Chat, thanks for joining. And thank you for your support last night during that debate. It was interesting. You know, I don't do debates as much as I used to, but you got to keep your game, right? So thanks, guys. You'll probably see me around the TikTok streets over the weekend. Otherwise, if not, make sure you're enjoying time with your family and friends. Happy Easter, and we will see you. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you. I mentioned a couple weeks ago that I had a Do Something moment at a dog park with a gentleman who saw my nails, and we had a conversation about a whole bunch of things, and I told him I was going to go to one of his services, and I'm going to his service on Sunday just to see what it's like. So I'll report back on Monday morning as to what I learned. Thank you, friends. I love you all, and we'll see you Monday morning. Friends, there's always something to